Hello, I am Gregory the Poor Typist, and today we are going to be having our Typewriter Club Live asked and answered. So we do have some questions here. I typed them up, of course. And sorry for the delay, but I had just taken the dogs out, and then right before I was supposed to start, she wanted to go out again, so... All right, well, we already have people waiting, so let's get to it. And I'm using my phone this time, so if you see me poking the screen, yeah, hopefully this goes well. I see Joe poking the screen, actually. All right, let's, hopefully this works out.
Well, hey.
Hello.
Hi, Ted. Hi, Ted.
Hey, Joe. Oh, wait, you're over there now. Wait, over there.
Hey, Dotto.
There we go.
Hello.
Greetings to all.
Welcome,
David.
everyone.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
It's so good to see so many familiar faces, and yet I understand we're going to be having at least one new face.
Let's hope so.
Yeah, Mei Lin is supposed to be joining us. So
Great.
yeah. Yeah, so I did go ahead and type up the questions from Facebook, and then hopefully we'll also get some in the comments here. Before we get too into it, and as people settle, I did just want to show this book quickly. Let me see if I can make this big.
I have that.
Yes.
Yes.
I didn't. Oops. I didn't imagine it being quite so small. I thought it was gonna be bigger. And,
Poetry.
yeah. I didn't imagine it being quite so small. Yeah. I think we're getting echo from someone.
We're getting an echo.
Yeah. And I guess my one, not really complaint about it, is it doesn't look like it's the actual what people typed. So
The TypeScript, yeah.
Yeah, I think they retyped it to make it look. It would have been better if it was authentic and like full size sheet, and yeah.
It's called editing.
I know, but sometimes it's better just to see something as a whole, as it was written, and oh well. But they do have to sell a book as well.
They do.
All right. So looks like someone posted maybe in the private chat. Okay.
It's Dato. He keeps himself muted. He wants to speak by text.
If you want to say something, just be sure and put it in the regular comment section so we can more easily see it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm in the wrong column. Sorry. Yeah, I'm not
No,
trying to be
okay.
I'm not trying to be a millennial and only text. I just don't want to interrupt the flow.
Oh, I appreciate it.
So I teach classes for a living, and the student bodies are getting younger and younger and younger. And I'm finding that rather than raise their hand, most of them want to go to the chat box. So we actually usually have a second instructor in the room to monitor the text, because there'll be a whole thing going on over there. So anyways.
Yeah.
And I have 2 grown children that won't talk to me on the phone, but of course we can text if they'll answer me.
Yeah. And again, before we get into the actual questions, does anybody have anything new or interesting going on?
Joe's got breakfast.
Joe had breakfast, and I
wanted to talk to Joe about his last video.
Oh,
go for it.
Video, which I thought was very interesting.
Yeah.
Because I had something similar as well. Because I had just gone to a cab and I brought my typewriter and I didn't use it once. I think what you find is that when you bring a camera or you bring a typewriter or whatever, it becomes part of the vacation and part of the experience. And what you really want to write about is the experience itself. So that got me thinking, and I went back and watched. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Spalding Gray. Anybody here a Spalding Gray fan? He did some monologues in the 80s and 90s, wrote a book. But specifically, I watched his monologue called Monster in a Box, which addressed writing. And that, I don't know if they still have them, but they were communities of writers, little cabins where they would, that was it. You were there to write. People would leave you alone. They would leave you a lunch sack outside of the room, and you would write. And I agreed with, like, at the end, Joe, with your sentiment that, you know, when you go on vacation, you're going on vacation. When you're writing, it has to be specifically, you have to set for that instead of other agendas. So
that's good.
Yeah.
It sure is nice to type out in the woods, though. That's fun.
It is.
Yeah, I'm actually a bit of an amateur photographer, and on one of our vacations, I was a little too focused on my vocation.
Focused.
There you go. And I think I almost drove the wife over the edge. She was very, very, very patient. But yeah, you know, when you're on vacation, just be on vacation.
Like, is it Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it becomes, what is it, Joe? You're an engineer, aren't you?
The mere act of observing changes the nature of what you're observing.
Right. So
essentially. Yeah.
Hello, May.
Good video, Joe. I like it.
Good morning, typewriter.
Good morning.
People.
Good morning.
Awesome.
Good morning.
All my favorite typewriter bloggers and video people. I feel like I'm amongst celebrities, and I guess in a way I am. So I'm kind of new. You know, August 12th, I got my first typewriter, so I'm very green at this. But you know, as you all know, I dove in head first, and I've so far repaired and restored 18 typewriters now.
Wow.
18 in 2 months. That's right. So behind me, you can see my whole living room and kitchen area is full of typewriters.
As
you need shelves.
Yes.
Do we need an intervention?
No, I don't. I need more. I need more.
That's typewriter club intervention. Is we bring you more typewriters.
Exactly. I go to you to find out which ones I still don't have. You know.
There's a lot.
Like Olympias. Everyone talks about the Olympias, and I'm really curious. And as soon as I find a good one locally, I'm snatching it up.
Do not hesitate.
Yeah.
Right.
Olympias are the best.
That's what people keep saying. That or the Hermes. Nice. Very nice, Greg.
Yeah,
I thought it was Hermes. It's Hermes. Hermes.
If it's a handbag, it's Hermes. If it's a typewriter, it's Hermes.
It's Hermes. So the topic today was just a bunch of questions that people have asked over the Facebook group, and we'll just go through one by one. Of course, I don't have a lot of advice to give, but I can certainly give opinions.
There you go.
That's all we do.
Yeah.
So I did want to pose the first question to you, May.
Sure.
How did you get into typewriters?
Well, I grew up with them, so I never not had a typewriter. I just never started, you know, the computer internet thing in mid-90s, and I donated my typewriter, my only typewriter, in 97, and then the pandemic hit, you know, flash forward, you know, 24 or 5, however many years later, and I was bored at home. I wanted something else to do. You know, I do play music, I have other hobbies, but I just wanted something new. And I remembered how much I liked using a typewriter, and my grandmother's a writer, and so it's kind of in my blood. And I just started looking online, and I thought, hey, let's just buy a typewriter. They're not too expensive. So I bought one, I bought another, and I bought another, and you know how that goes.
That's very common.
It was just a whim, really. I just wanted to get into something that I wasn't already into before, that relates to the things I like to do. You know, I like to write anyway. And yeah, I've been doing it on a computer for a long time, and I love doing it on a typewriter now. It's just so much therapeutic in a way. Like the whole, you've got to interact, your whole body and mind with the machine. You have to do all the thinking. And I even use an old school dictionary just to keep it authentic. I don't do spell check on the computer. So I'm trying, I guess maybe in a way, I'm going back to my roots, as a youth. Because a lot of us do that. As we get older, we start to long for things that we had when we were younger, and that's part of it too. And I've just always been a tinkerer, fixer type. I collect sewing machines. I have just as many sewing machines as I have typewriters. I have 18 old sewing machines. And I do the same thing with them that I do with typewriters. I find, old gunky ones, clean them up, fix them up, getting running again. I've given away some and sold a few, but I do like to sew. So I keep my favorites around. And I have the same passion about them as I, discovered with typewriters now recently. So now I have a house full of old machines, and it's great. It's wonderful, right?
It is.
We feels you, yeah.
It's a lot of fun for sure. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for answering. All right. So we have our questions, and there's several. Yeah, and several of them are yours. So
yeah, I'm very curious.
Yeah. So
I see Ted over there typing away.
No, he's kitty drumming.
Are you pretending?
Cat drumming.
He has a cat.
He's cat typing.
Cat drumming.
Shiatsu massage for the cat. All right. So the first question is from Diane Mayer. She says, when I see typewriters in videos, many of them look so nice and clean. How do you get them to look so clean? Are they just in better shape to begin with, or have they been restored?
You clean them.
Yeah.
I give them a bath. I literally dunk them in my kitchen sink, in Dawn and water, and just shake them up and type on them underwater. And it seems to work for me. I know it's kind of, a renegade way of cleaning, but it works for me in a small apartment where I don't want to use a bunch of chemicals that are, toxic. So I just use plain old soap and water, rubbing alcohol, real simple stuff. I'll use a little PV blaster on some, screws that are stuck and things like that. But,
that's where your smell's going to come
every
from.
typewriter I've got is filthy. Like, sometimes the typewriters are clean on the outside, like the seller will wipe them down on the outside, but then you look down under the keys, there's cat hair. Nothing against cats, but, lots of just gunk, 40, 50 years of gunk. That all has to come out. I will not type on a machine that's filthy like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I actually found that pictures can be very, very deceiving.
Oh, yeah. Typewriter filters.
Yeah. There have been some pictures I've seen of typewriters, and it looks almost pristine. And then I get the typewriter, and I'm like, what is this?
It happens every time. Yeah, Shop Goodwill is good at that. They put the bright lights, on there. Everything's shiny and sparkly, a little bit blurry.
Exactly.
So,
that's.
But I expect that though. I expect typewriters to be dirty. They're old,
Yeah.
So unless you buy them from someone who does restore them, they're going to be dirty.
Exactly. All right. So the next question we have is from Thor Halverson.
Oh.
He says, tip on cleaning and adjusting the feet. And he actually has a few separate questions, so we'll start with that one. Tips on cleaning and adjusting the feet. You touched on it a little bit, May. Does anybody else have anything to add as far as cleaning?
I wonder if he's asking about adjusting on feet.
Yeah.
You mean the bottom, so it's balanced?
The type line.
On feet.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So some of the
I don't
terms
know.
I don't.
Yeah, I don't know if he's asking that or if he's actually asking about the feet, because I've never heard of anybody adjusting feet. I've heard of people replacing feet.
Right. Yeah. The rubber usually goes bad. So you mean like the alignment of the characters? You mean because some of the like the vertical alignment on some of mine is a little off, but I don't really care.
Yeah, on feed is when the is getting the letter perfectly centered on the face of the platen, so you don't have light spots on the top or the bottom.
Right.
Okay.
Like with shift height, that's something different. Like when the capitals and that's something different. But on feet just means everything is level. I use my hands on a couple of them. I just, and it works. It really does work.
So depending on the diameter of the platen, right? Sometimes I will start with the uppercase first because some of the characters like the slash are really tall, and it gives you a better idea of on feet if the top or bottom of that character is shaded a little bit, then you're not getting right on the platen properly. So a lot of times on those kind of typewriters, I will adjust the uppercase position first to get so the impression is even top to bottom, and then I'll adjust the lowercase, the motion, to the uppercase so the bottom of the line is even between upper and lower.
You're actually supposed to do that first.
Yeah.
That's the first thing you do.
Yeah, you're supposed to do that, but I've noticed on some typewriters that sometimes you'll still get uppercase characters. The really tall ones will be slightly shaded, and you have to go back and kind of, go the opposite way a little bit with it. But, and I think it's common for a lot of people to use the letter H as a reference for the motion, for capital H versus lowercase h, right?
Yeah,
it's in the center.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and then it helps to try both shift keys. Because on some machines, it's a different motion. There's a different adjustment on both left or right side on some of them. And you want to make sure that shifting, like sometimes if you have it misadjusted, the shifting on the left will be a little different than the shifting on the right key. So.
And your shift lock key.
And your shift lock.
Yeah.
So the answer to Thor's question is buy a typewriter repair Bible from Ted.
Yes. Priceless. They are priceless. I bought 4. Yeah. I bought 4. I paid your electric bill that month. But they're indispensable. And I would like to see more. Are you still actively creating more and more of them?
Yep. I'm working on a Smith Corona one now for the standards, but I don't have what I want to get is the SM9 done, but I don't have a manual for that, obviously. So I'd like to get to one for the older Royal portables because I've got parts manuals for those, but no service manuals. Let's see, the smaller SFs, the Olympias, don't have one for that. Got a parts book. But, let's see, what else? Already kind of got one for Skywriter, but yeah, there's several I'm still looking for. We're putting them together as we get them.
So do you get this information from your local typewriter guy and just get the service?
No, I go out and
or you research and buy them.
Search for books. Yeah, I go out and search for books, try to find the last few remaining ones, and get them back into print.
Personally, I would like to request some more of the brothers. Like the JP3. The JP7s. If you could find those, I will buy them in a heartbeat.
We have them, but very few people want them, so they're just PDFs right now.
Oh, well, we'll have to talk later after the show.
Okay, I can do that.
All right, so let's see. Oh, that question will come up again later. What is your tool? This is Thor again. What is your tool of choice in working on a typewriter? Any kits of tools out there?
One tool that's a screwdriver. The screwdriver is probably the number one. If you only could have one tool, it would have to be a screwdriver, right?
Well, I
do.
Yeah,
brain.
There you go.
The brain.
Perfect. I know Joe recently showed that little kit.
Yep.
Oh yeah. That thing is neat.
I would say air compressor saves a lot of time if you can find a small air compressor for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, I was looking at those actually.
Oh yes, tiny wrenches. Yes.
Harbor
Definitely.
Freight sells them. They're little hot dog ones. They're under $100, and it'll save you so much time. It's ridiculous. I watched that Dwayne Jensen video on how to clean the type bars and everything. And as soon as I got it, I was like, man, this is such a time saver. So anyone out there, go and buy an air compressor and
Yeah.
time on cleaning those things.
I was actually at Lowe's and I was looking at air compressors, but the cheapest they had was like $150, and it was much bigger than I imagined needing.
Yeah.
I'm like, don't they just have like a little electric one?
Yeah, the Harbor Freight, I think it's Harbor Freight. It's a little hot. It's like this big.
Okay, that's perfect.
Very cheap.
Yeah.
Now, of course, they're not going to include all of the nozzles and the hoses, so you're going to have to buy those separately. But once you got that, it's definitely perfect for typewriters. So that's my recommendation.
Excellent. I will have to look into that.
I use a high-powered hair dryer. Just turn the heat off. Seriously, it works. You know, it's not strong enough to blow the springs away, but just enough to get rid of
Interesting.
So just a hair dryer that you can turn the heat off. And then I use the hair dryer after washing. You know, after I wash the typewriters, I dry them with some heat.
Yeah. Do you shampoo them too?
With Dawn. Dawn takes all the crud out of the way.
Simple Green's good too. I like Simple.
Yes, I've used that before too. It's just a little bit more expensive than Dawn. Picks. I think picks are very important with typewriter kits to get into the the type faces or the slugs or whatever. And just putting springs back together and things like that.
Now, are you talking toothpick or dental pick?
No, the tool picks.
Spring hooks.
Oh, tool picks. Okay.
Spring hooks. Yeah, I have a set of little hooks and picks, all different angles, and they're wonderful for typewriter repair.
Okay.
A lot of the tools I had for working on sewing machines all apply to typewriters, so I didn't have to buy anything new.
Oh, nice.
It's wonderful. Yeah, machines are machines, right?
That's right.
All right. Now, I do see Sarah's in the comments, but she does have a question here. So, custom painted machines to paint or leave alone, and what methods work best? Spray paint versus powder coating, and hobby paint touch-up formulas. So, anybody, what are our thoughts on painting typewriters?
I have a thought.
Okay.
I am vehemently against painting. I think they should remain as they are. However, I've had a ongoing text conversation with a lady that does that. I think it's can't remember her name, but it's the Colombo Collection lady. She is known for beautifying typewriters, and I told her at first, I said, I disagree with what you're doing. However, I've changed my mind, because what she's doing is beautifying them and opening those up to a whole new group of users.
Exactly.
It's not traditional. But it does work, and I now have commended her on her work. Personally, I would never paint one, but that's my choice.
Yeah.
I'm opposed to painting as well. I feel like if you look at Willie Nelson's guitar, it tells it tells a story.
Yep.
Okay. And when I love the stickers, I love my wolf dog here. But every typewriter is a story. Just like you look at these guys that have been playing music, Keith Richards' guitar looks like it just came out of a dumpster, but it's his, and I know exactly what Dado's talking about. The combinations that the Colombo typewriter person does, they're gorgeous. They're beautiful. But I like to keep the sales stickers on. I like to keep the blemishes. That's me. But I think there's definitely circumstances where it's acceptable, but I would never do it. So
yeah, I would have to agree. I think all these things tell the story of the typewriter, and if you paint over it, you're losing that story, and it's just heartbreaking. And go ahead.
This is what happens when a typewriter needs to get painted. It doesn't. It becomes my naked typewriter. And I love the naked typewriter. You know, the body took off about 2.5 pounds. So this little Royal Quiet Deluxe is so light and so, if I need to work on it, hello, I don't have to take it apart. The only thing that's missing is the paper support, but that's not really necessary, you know. So if a typewriter is in bad condition, but the insides are okay, I'll just do this. I have 2 naked typewriters now, and I love them. I love them like this. They don't need the body. So.
Now, when you're hitting the spacebar on that, is it still stable? Or it
well,
seems like
I did have to modify this one. If you can see, I used a binder clip on the side to just keep the spacebar from popping all the way up. I stop the mechanism from rising all the way up, because otherwise the spacebar floats up and it messes up with the escapement. But just a small modification just to keep the spacebar down was all I needed to do.
Wow. And you've been in this hobby how long?
2 months.
My goodness.
However,
I've worked on machines for years, though. It's not my first rodeo with tinkering.
Okay.
Typewriters was just a natural progression for me.
Okay.
However, I often wonder about the lack of, I don't know, imagination on the OEM typewriter manufacturers' color choices. I mean, you can't throw a rock without finding a blue typewriter or a brown one or a green one. And then they went through the stage where everything was bright. But for the most part, they seem to be fairly unimaginative in their color selections.
I think they wanted to keep them neutral so that they would kind of fit in with any decor. Because, very few people would buy a bright purple typewriter. Red seems to be a really popular and expensive color.
Oh, yeah.
Whenever I see a red typewriter, I just, I can't keep up with the bidding. It's just too much for me.
Part of it depends on if the typewriter is intended for office use or home use.
True.
Right? Because even back in the 20s, the Corona 4s were starting to come out with a lot of different colors. But the office machines were always drab, corporate grays and browns or whatever for decades after.
Yeah. Can you imagine walking into an office with typewriters of all different colors, like bright, cheerful colors? It would be the best place to work.
Well, even today with computers, you go to people's cubicles, and if they have like little desktop box computers, they're usually like neutral colors, like grays and charcoal dark colors. They're not like bright. You don't see an Olivetti Valentine colored box computer these days much, unless you're a gamer and you have neon lights all over.
Some of the tablets are very colorful, so typewriters follow that same.
Charcoal.
I'm chuckling right now because my MacBook Pro is sitting on top of my Kmart typewriter, and I'm looking at the front of the Kmart, and it's got a wood panel decal on it.
Oh yeah,
so as if it was really made of wood.
Right, 70s.
The Woody.
So that's a brother. The Kmart is a brother typewriter.
It's fantastic. I have I don't know I don't want to go down a rabbit hole, but after our last meeting when Joe mentioned when we were talking about what we like to have on a typewriter and what we didn't like, he mentioned the typeface size being the smaller typeface, and I was kicking myself that I didn't say that because I agree I like the smaller typeface. So I was inspired after our meeting to jump on eBay and buy another brother machine. I brought a Webster.
Oh, good.
Because I kicked myself because I think I might have made a huge mistake, but I bought a Webster. Of course, it's sitting back here right now. It needs a little bit of work to get it on the road again, but I bought it for that purpose, to get the smaller typeface. Well, it turns out, chucklehead that I am, is that it's the exact same typeface as Kmart, which is, I guess, Pico. I don't know. I get those two mixed up. Pico and Elite, I can't keep track of which one's which, but it's the bigger typeface. And so one of my questions, to getting back to the topic of this, is how can you tell looking at pictures? Because typically the owner or the seller is not going to mention, and they may not have a typing sample. And so I assume I looked at my Olympia SM9, the script typeface, which is an 11, and it's got a 90 on the little index bar, whatever that is. So I thought, okay, if it's got a 90 instead of an 80, I should be good to go. So I bought the Webster based on that. And then when I opened the box, I noticed I was comparing it with the Kmart machine, and I noticed, well, the Kmart machine has a 90 on it. So that isn't the way to do it. And so I feel like a moron for doing that, because now I've got another Pico machine that was not my idea. But anyways, how can you tell?
No, I count. I look at the ruler and I try my best to count. You know, like you said, but the numbers aren't 100% guaranteed. But at least you can get close with some of them. I've noticed for the 9-inch Platings, if it goes to 80, then it's Pico. If it goes to 90 something, then it's Elite. And then with the 12-inch Platings, it's 110 for Pico and 130 for Elite. And that's just, it's not across the board for all typewriters, but it's pretty common. So
that's something I didn't consider, was the length of the platen.
The length of the platen, but a lot of times the pictures don't, they're blurry. So you just kind of have to count. You're like, I know this is 0, I know this is 10, and you count. And because, I'm on the lookout for more Elite typewriters. Most of mine are Pico, and though I like them for, certain applications for like real writing, when I write a lot, I want Elite, so it's less return.
Exactly. But that was another question I had. I'm looking around the room here, and with a few exceptions, I would say we're all getting on in years. And it seems that we all seem to like the smaller typeface. And as you can tell, I'm wearing eyesight augmentation devices. So I'm wondering if, I guess it's a trade-off of efficiency and compactness of word and legibility. But I do prefer the smaller typeface.
I do too.
Yeah.
I am going to inform you that I think you have 2 Elite machines, Dado, because this is my Pico brother, basically the same design, and it's got an 80 on the type bar. So I think if you type 12 characters and measure it, and if it's exactly an inch, you've got 2 Elite machines, I believe.
I think I did that yesterday, much to my dismay, and I swear I had to double check, but I think they were 10 characters to the inch. And that baffles me, because both of these machines have a 90, and I don't know what size the platen is. I'd have to go get a ruler, but I would say it can't be, I don't think it's 10 inches.
Well, here's another one, also a JP1, but it has an inch longer platen than the other one, and it goes up to 100. And this one is an Elite machine. It's a Script Elite, but I'm pretty sure that unless you have an extended carriage like that, and you said you typed 10 characters to an inch?
I believe so. I'll have to check that.
You have 2 Pico machines then.
And I know that on the back of these, sometimes the brothers will say whether it is Elite or Pico. I think that's been my experience. Maybe that was on the JP3. I can't remember. This one does not. And it goes to 95, I think, on the platen. So I'll go get a ruler and I'll do another experiment with it. But I was really bummed, because I really wanted. In fact, I was saying, okay, this Webster, as soon as I get it up and running, is going to kick the Kmart machine to the curb, and the Kmart machine is going to be given or sold to some other aspiring typospherean, just to spread the wealth. But now I'm stuck with, it looks like 2 of the same machine. And if I have to choose between the 2, then the Kmart stays, only because it's got the wood paneling on it, of course, and it's got the keyboard tab sets, which the little brother or the little Webster doesn't. I will say that I was quite surprised. Sorry, I don't mean to hijack this meeting, but
Go ahead.
I was quite surprised that the Webster did not come with the little vinyl-esque or Naugahyde case with the torn zipper, which they almost always have. This one came with a hard plastic case. I've never seen one like this, and it fits perfectly. So I'm certain that it's the original case. And I know you probably can't see this, but it's got a little trap door thing here that opens. If I can get it open, that will hold like pencils and stuff. I know you can't see that, but it's pretty slick. The other thing that happened, again, you can tell me to shut up at any time, but the other thing that happened is when I was doing my initial inspection, I discovered by lifting off the top of it, it popped right off. Well, it's missing both of the rubber grommets. And I thought, okay, that's easy to fix, but what happened to them? Well, I immediately looked at the bottom of this to see if maybe they were stuck here, and they're not. However, in the bottom of the plastic case are both of the grommets, and
Nice.
they are. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about when I say the rubber has got like a white coating on it, like it's old and not been used. They have this white kind of gray color to them, and they are mint. It's like they were never installed in the first place, which is really curious. So I suspect this typewriter wasn't used much. I also know that it has been used because it's full of rubber eraser shavings. And I also know that it's been stored for a long time, in that the bottom, the back feet, let me see if I can get an angle on this. The back feet are kind of bent in, like it was storing on its back for a long time and putting weight on it. But either way, it's a neat machine. It's going to make somebody very happy. If not me, it will make somebody. And my goal is I will release one of these into the wild for the holiday season. And I think when I write the ad, I will make it such that I would prefer that a parent buy this for an aspiring youth to get it in their hands, because these are trouble-free, they're portable, they're just great. So that's kind of my goal in getting it out. Now, whether I give it away or sell it, I don't really care at this point. Especially if I can get a young person to take receipt of it, I'd be happy to go here. So anyway, sorry for stealing the show.
Oh no, that's what this is about, talking.
It's all about. We all steal it.
I
was born talking.
I was going to mention that we have a couple comments over there on the comment section.
How do you see the comments? I'm not seeing the comments.
Oh, I'm on
you have to go to the YouTube page. I guess the comments are on the YouTube page.
Well, it's on the StreamYard, but it's full screen. There's a comment.
I see it. Okay. Good.
So Brian says he has a couple of machines with 11 characters per inch, and a lot of times the German machines or European machines might have actually been metric. I think maybe
it's metric.
Yeah, it's like 3.5 or 4 millimeters per character, something like that. And so Sarah says her Voss also had 11. So do you guys like 11? Or, do you think it's a good compromise between Pico and Elite?
I do.
Yeah, I think so. I only have one.
I'm all about Elite.
I have the Olivetti Latera 32. That's my only 11.
But I'm also, as you know, a huge fan of Olympia. So that seems to be where that comes into play. And I think I read, I think it was Scott Shadd's book back when I first got into this business, and he said that about the 11 being a good compromise. And at the time I was like, yeah, whatever. But a lot of the things he said in that book proved to be correct, along with his advocacy for a number one key, which when I read the book, it was like, yeah, who cares? But now obviously I care.
I am typeface agnostic. I like them all.
You're ecumenical.
Exactly. Yeah.
Ecumenical. That's a good one.
Because you're the reverend,
Does anyone have any typewriter that has gothic typeface?
Yes.
I have not found one yet.
I've got my Remington that I showed last time is art gothic.
Oh, that's so cool, man. Like, I don't have a script typeface or gothic, but those are really the only two that I paid much attention to. I have my Hermes 3000. I don't know what it is, but I love the modern look of it, or the future look of it. So I use that a lot. I have no. When it comes to this stuff, I don't know which is which. Like you, I'm agnostic, but I do know about the gothic and script. And when you first get into typewriters, everybody wants the.
Yeah.
I want the cursive typewriter. That's like the.
Even though I hardly
third
ever
level,
use it, I like
It's
having it. You know.
That's.
And then one of my
and
favorites
you'll
is
use it a
the
couple
large
times.
font, the 6 CPI.
Oh yeah, yes.
It was an accidental find. I was just, picking up an old typewriter. I did not know that they came in such large typefaces.
And that's a naked 6.
Yeah, my naked Corona Super Silent 1958, I believe, but don't hold me to that. And it does not need modification to type naked. You just take the body off and go to town. It works great. And thank you, Ted, for those books, because it helped me fix the skipping issue that this was having. And now it's perfect now, except for the body. So yeah, I'd like to have one like this, another one like this, with a larger platen. But I don't know if that's even a thing.
The
I'm sure it is.
The Galaxy series from the 60s, right?
Yeah, Galaxy 12.
Galaxy 12.
They had the larger.
12-inch platen.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to look for that.
Generally speaking, you can get you can find almost every typeface on almost every typewriter, because dealers would put them on. I mean, if you wanted a 6 CPI typeface on a Royal and you bought a Pico one, or you bought a machine, you for about $5 you could order it with the larger typeface. It really wasn't a big deal for them. So you'll find typefaces kind of all over the place on all kinds of machines.
It seems like, though, the most common is the Pico. It's like that's.
Oh, yeah.
Is that true? Is the Pico the more common typeface that people manufacturers made?
Yes, because that's a business typeface that's considered a business typeface. Actually, you would get a trade-in. What do you call when it goes lower? Your trade-in value is lower if you had a typeface other than Pico or Elite when you took it back to the dealer. So
I love all this typewriter show and tell. It's the best part. So what have you got there, David?
This is a classic 12. I never use it, but it came with interchangeable keys. I don't know if that's the right word for it.
Change it
type.
Yeah.
Change type. There you go.
Oh, you can take the slugs off and change certain ones. Not all of them, just certain ones, right?
Just the ones on the
There's
end.
2 of them.
Yeah. Is it the plus and the?
Mm-hmm.
And as you can see, I haven't repaired it, so it's just kind of flopping around. But yeah, this is close to the Galaxy, I think, isn't it, Ted?
Yeah.
That is a Galaxy.
Oh, okay. So there you go. Thank you, Ted.
It's just a different marketing name.
Yeah, but most of you saw this previously, but this is my
Pincrest.
entry challenge back to David there. I got the 2 keys that are interchangeable. I don't really care about that feature, but it's there and it looks cool. But it's got the 12-inch, of course, it's Pico and et cetera. And it's got the cool sticker on it from Smith Corona saying we made this for JCPenney. So again, this is the one that or a machine just like the one that I used in middle school and high school, which I said was what started it for me. I bought this one. It's the first one I bought out of the box when I jumped back into this business about 2 years ago. Not my favorite typer. It's a great typer and certainly got tons of features, but not my favorite. I hang on to it with some fits and spurts over nostalgia more than anything. I would hate it if I wanted to get rid of it, but if I get down to middle-aged triage of less is more, this one would have to go, I think. And the Olympias would probably always be with me. One of the things that bothers me about this era of Smith Corona machines is all this plastic. These are notorious for breaking off. And if I plan to keep doing this for, I don't know, another 30 years, are these going to survive if this was my machine?
Right.
Likewise, these things are constantly breaking. As a matter of fact, the one on the other end, as you can see in the picture, is already gone. So just a lot of plastic on here.
Mhm.
Not indelicate, but it's anyways. But it does have the throwback nostalgia for me because this is what we use, what I used.
The typing on them, I find, is really it's really precise. It's really easy to use. Like it almost feels electric for some reason.
It is, but it's got the Smith Corona feel, and if you like that, you like it. I like it okay, but for me, it comes back to it's not an Olympia. Yeah, Joe, I had one of those.
Is that the electric?
That is the Ninja Turtle model. That's what
I had a tan one just like that, Joe, which was elite, and I loved it. But I sold it, and I've recently thought about contacting the guy I sold it to see if I could trade back and get it. But that gets back into the realm of, am I a manual typewriter purist, which I like to claim, or do I want something that has to plug in? And Joe, I read your recent article about that machine, and it inspired me to think about it again. Thank you.
Well, it does have about the smallest footprint of any electric that I know of. I mean, there was probably a few electrified brothers that were probably about the same footprint, but this, it's nice. It's not that loud. I find because the motor, it's running, but it's just a hum. And then the way the type bars are operated by the spindle that turns, it's not really that much louder. It feels like you're hitting the keys hard, like a manual, but it's not like a daisy wheel with that solenoid that hits the pedals. It's it's real loud. So I find it's pretty good. Yeah.
I like it for Richard Polt's thing, the science fiction book.
Oh, the latest one, the Backspaces.
No, the two prior.
Oh yeah, I have them. Yeah.
That was the machine you typed your story on?
Or yeah, I think so. Yeah, it was. Yep.
I like the TEs. The one I had was super fast. And Joe, you're right. It's a compact frame.
Yeah.
It has the bare minimum of electrification. It's like having an early car that might have power windows, and that's about it.
Right.
I like the fact that it's got the manual carriage return, and that's not hitting a button and slinging it around.
Yeah,
I do like it. And
I have the electrified version of the Galaxy, which is the Coronet. And if it's on a lightweight typing table and you hit that power return, that whole table feels like the Twin Towers right after the airplane hit it. You know what I mean? Not a very good analogy, sorry, but anyway, it feels like it's just shaking.
I have to keep my electrics over here on the kitchen counter. If I put them on my desk, they'll do exactly what you said. Boom, everything shaking. But I've also learned you can manually return it just using your hand. And sometimes I do that as well when it's late at night and I don't want to freak out my neighbors and some kind of domestic violence going on. No, I'm just typing.
Well, that's what they all say. That's what they all say. A typewriter abuser.
Yes. But I like electrics.
My neighbors. I don't know what you're talking about. I keep the window open, and I think they know because they can hear the typewriter going.
Oh, nice.
Sorry,
Shares.
dog again.
Oh, Ted is answering a question about this.
I'm looking.
Who wrote that website anyway?
Ted's blog was like one of the first things I came across when I was doing research on typewriters, and I can't thank you enough for all the work that you have put in there. I can't imagine how long it took, and I guess it's an ongoing process too, but it's been indispensable for typewriter collectors.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure everyone agrees. So.
Same here. And then the other guy the camera hog guy, I think it's JVC there. He's just all over YouTube. He's been invaluable with his attention to detail and his production quality.
Exactly.
Is excellent. He spends more time trying to set up lighting than he does anything else. And it really pays off.
Yes, I've been watching. I've been binge watching a lot of your videos, Joe. But my gosh, you have so many. It's going to take me months probably to watch them all.
Well, my theory is quantity over quality. That's.
I don't believe that.
No.
Very high quality.
To answer the question that was asked, wait, not the wrong one. It looks like it's a French serial number for a noiseless, right around 1954. It seems to run right off the end of 1954, but that's all the information I have. So
Excellent.
Well, I did get the message. I just
yes.
Generally speaking, if you want to know about a serial number, you should probably just ask in the Facebook group, because usually somebody will answer it a lot faster than I will. And it's not really a question that requires me to actually just go and look it up.
And you're busy scanning books anyway, right?
Well, I got a lot of things going on, but
Yeah, I know. All right, so we have a question from Maylin. To dampen or not to dampen? That is the question. Like, does it matter whether or not we replace the foam or felt?
I always do. I like to. On Brothers, especially those little tinny Japanese typewriters, I love to just pack those full of foam and felt, and cover the platen with rubber, which is another question I saw came up. Basically anything I can do to make that a more or a less audible,
Loud.
Yeah, well, annoying kind of a tinny sound.
Like the JP1, it has that one little piece of foam on the bottom, and I've been thinking about putting some on the top, the sides, and you say it really does make a difference. So I don't want to bother with it. If it doesn't make a difference, I don't want to bother with it. But if it makes a difference, I want to give it a shot. So what do you use for felt? Do you just buy craft store felt, or do you?
I have a bunch of fairly thick felt sheets that I got at a thrift store. Somebody had just sold like a bag full of felt, and I just take those and rubber cement them on the sides. Okay. Or a lot of times I'll use foam rubber, like on a Brother, especially the side panels. You can actually take those off and just stuff them full of foam rubber and put them back on, and it just really fills up that echoing space.
Well, I'm going to try that, because I have 2 of these Sears JP1s. So I'm going to pad one of them and then leave the other one as is, and then see if I can do an audible comparison between the two. Because this is a typewriter I like to take out and about. I've only done it a few times, but I think it would be respectful to have a quieter typewriter if I'm typing out and about. But at home, it doesn't bother me much. I love the sound of a typewriter anyway.
That's where you need a thermal typewriter, right, Gregor?
Yes, exactly.
Or a thermal, one of those thermals that Joe
Jim and I love those.
Those are interesting, another rabbit hole, right?
Here's a tip for you. The loudest thing on a JP1 is this rubber bar right underneath all the type bars. There's like a rubber pad down here. It's like a tube.
Yeah.
Yank that out of there and put felt in there. Because the loudest thing in your typing is those type bars falling back down on that hollow tube.
Nice. Okay.
And so there's a tip.
Thanks. That's a good tip. Thank you.
That is a good tip.
I was just looking at the inside of this Kmart machine as you're talking. The Webster, I think, has one piece of foam on the bottom panel. The Kmart machine has one on the underside of the ribbon cover. And from what I can tell, I haven't taken it apart, but it's got foam along the sides of it and also on the bottom. So it's almost like they kind of upgraded it for the Kmart offering. And maybe they just knew that their typewriters were noisy. But I do like the sound of it. I mean, to some degree, it is tinny, but it's got a crisp sound to it. And it doesn't bother me too much.
So Brian makes a comment that a lot of the old foam and felt is where the stink of old typewriters is. And
agreed.
I know on some of the really old, like 1930s era typewriters, they had thick felt, like the Remingtons. There was thick body felt.
Real wool, too.
Yeah. You get to the Japanese ones, it looks like just thin, papery thin kind of foam or something.
Like a plastic foam.
Yeah.
But yes, I agree. Stinky old felt. I've pulled it out of 2 typewriters, and it just it's gross, and it's already disintegrating too anyway. So
Yeah.
my old 50s machines, I pulled all the nasty felt out of there. But it's going to be some work to replace because some of the felt goes under like the space saw. So I'm really going to have to do some work on that. So
What do you got
they
there?
might.
This is your
Oh,
tool
nice.
Oh, wow.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So this is what this, if I can, here, I'll try to give you guys a noise sample here.
Yeah.
This was one of the first ones I found. And I haven't used it much, but it's a beautiful typewriter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Noiseless.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Barn find.
Wow.
You cleaned it up nicely, very nicely.
Yeah.
I use car wax polish.
It almost looks like a naked typewriter. You know, some of these old portables didn't really have much to them except for, you know, the sides maybe.
Yeah. So speaking of old typewriters, I'm going to be meeting my friend Bill Taft this afternoon at my house, and he's bringing over an American calligraph that he just got. And it supposedly all works, and it's really in good shape. So I'm excited to look at that. So that's like prior to 1900, I think. It was probably the second big typewriter that came out after the original Scholes and Glidden and Remington kind of thing. So it's going to be interesting to see that.
I'm going to have to look up calligraph because I have no idea what that is. So, but I'm sure you'll do a report on it later.
I hope to.
Yeah.
We got to get Richard Molman on here because he has some just wonderful old typewriters. I mean, just unbelievable collection.
He's got a bunch.
Yeah. I got to see his Hammond when it was being put back together at a typewriter repairman that we both go to. And yeah, if we could get him. If you're out there, Richard, come on the show so we can see all of your amazing, neat 500 typewriters. I don't know how many he has. It's ridiculous. It's a whole basement full. So
Wow.
yeah.
All right. So May's next question was, I'm just curious about everyone's personal experience with their multiple typewriters. How many rooms in your living space, not counting basement, garage, storage, etc., have typewriters proudly on display, and what room has the most?
I guess I'll answer my own question first. If you count this as 2 rooms, kitchen, living room, and then I have some in my bedroom and some in my office, so it's 4 rooms. Most of them are here, you know, in the living room, kitchen, you know, where I type, and that's would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have 10 typewriters in this one space right here.
Wow. Now, are they proudly on display?
A couple of them are in cases, but yes, most of them I'm playing around with them, you know, all the time. So I just leave them out.
Yeah.
It's easier to leave them out. What I'd like to do is get some dust covers though, so that way, you know, keep them clean.
Yes.
Yeah. My situation is I basically have most of mine in the closet, and I have an Underwood portable from 1930 that's back in the patio room on display with a plastic cover. But most everything else is I take them out one at a time. I don't have a room to put them on display. And then you know I live in the American Southwest, and dust comes in pretty easy out here. Yeah, hot dust, and I have evaporative cooling, so it draws air in from the outside, right? So it's not filtered as well as a refrigerated air. So yeah, you get dust on things if you leave it out. So.
And here it's humidity. In Arkansas, it's humidity. But you know, I live in a climate controlled, you know, so it's okay to leave the typewriters out.
Yeah.
But if you put them in the garage or storage, you know, all the typewriters I've found locally, all are rusty because somebody put them in the basement or garage.
Yeah. In fact, just a side note, a couple days from now, it's going to be freezing below 32 here in Albuquerque. So I'm winterizing evaporative coolers even as we speak. I'm draining the water out of them so they don't freeze. Anyways, that's what it's like living in the mountains, the Mountain West, where, high altitudes, gets cold. Anyways.
I live down in the valley, so it's always hot.
It's always hot. That's right.
And dry.
Yes.
That's the nice thing is the local market here, I can pretty much count on never finding rusty typewriters because the climate here is so dry that they don't really get a chance to rust. And as far as storage, I keep them all in cases on shelves right here in the living room. And then when I usually keep 2 or 3 out so I can type on them or work on them. But when they're not being used, they're in their cases because I gotta keep them out of the dust.
Yep.
Especially with all the cats.
Yeah. And cats.
I used to have a cat, so we're still dealing with all the cat hair in here. Yeah, so personally, I keep a couple open and ready to use on my desk. But other than that, they stay in their cases. I have some in the garage, some in the dining room, some in the family room. So it's a little bit crazy. But yeah, I only have a couple out at a time that I'm actually using. So how about anyone else? What are your storage situations? I know David has that beautiful case.
Oh, yes. I saw that on.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah. So I have
On the other
3
shelf.
rooms of typewriters, though. Let's see here. This is my office.
Yeah. Ultimately, I'd like.
That's beautiful. Beautiful.
But the home that we live in was built in 1897. So
Wow.
a Victorian home. And the person who lived here, who grew up here, was actually a former governor of Illinois. And he was a pharmacist, or his family were pharmacists. And they actually had a display room for medicine. And so upstairs on the second floor, it's perfect to display typewriters. It's all wood panels. So I've got them all displayed there as well.
Nice.
So that's why I'm able to run up there
Very
and
nice.
grab them and bring them down so fast. And then I've got 4 or 5 in the adjacent living room. It's really whatever my wife will put up with. So
It's the best thing about living alone. I can do whatever I want with my typewriters.
I don't have children, so I don't have to. We have all these rooms, and I'm like, we don't even know what to do with them, But
I wish I had that
More
problem.
typewriters.
typewriters.
The borders, rent them out.
All right, there we go. Come on over.
There you go.
Yep.
Put a typewriter in each room and then rent them out to people to type on.
Oh, yeah. Ooh.
I think
Writing
eventually,
retreats.
honestly, what'll happen is I'll probably just give a bunch away, to friends. If I don't use them for a long time and they sit there, I love collecting, but these machines are made to be used. And I love to get people excited about typing. I love to, do correspondence. And I've given a few away, and I'll probably give, a lot away at some point just because I want them to be used. So.
I find they stay in better shape. Some of the typewriters I've gotten that aren't working so well, the more I type on them, the more they sort of loosen up and even out and work more smoothly. So they're definitely meant to be used.
Yep.
Yeah. So Indro says, I have 14 typewriters on display in our living room, 8 in the IKEA cabinet, and the others scattered around the room. Another 25 cases in my office upstairs. Wow. Yeah. That sounds
It's
about
nice
right.
when you can display them.
Yeah.
I wish I could. I just don't want to deal with the dirt and dust and the cat hair.
Yeah.
But I like David's cabinet because it's covered, so you can display them and they're still protected. I think that's going to be my goal, David, is to have a cabinet like yours or something.
Yeah,
similar.
those are from IKEA. They're called Fabricor. And I want to say they're around $300.
And how many hold 6 typewriters?
It'll hold 6 typewriters. Yeah.
Did they have taller ones?
There's a taller one that somebody just posted not too long ago on the
Yeah, I
internet.
saw that. And
I can't remember what the name of it was.
That was
but they
nice.
they do make taller ones. Honestly, if I was going to do it, I'd love to just have it like build a nice shelf. You know,
Custom, yeah.
That's the dream.
Yes. Custom.
You know, I tried. I went out and bought barrister bookcases, but they weren't deep enough. But those would be, you know, if you could find something like that to where, like this here, that it has a glass, and it slides in, and then you can access it in there, and then you wouldn't have to worry about dust. You know?
Yeah,
that would be pretty nice too. But they're not big enough to hold typewriters. But Fabricore is the name of the.
Okay.
Fabricore. Right.
And what about you, Dado?
Well, it's just me and my wife here, but she does not share the same enthusiasm as I do for typewriters. So my typewriters, the few that I have are here behind me in the case, sitting on the floor. I usually leave one out, whichever one I want to use, and I kind of rotate through them. And when I come down to do my OTP in the morning, one typed page, I have one here. I bring my coffee and I go. And for some random algorithm, I don't know, determines which one I want to use. I'll get tired of one and put another one out. But that's kind of what I do. I am keenly interested, David, in the IKEA cabinet. That is a cool way to do it. Do you see? Apparently, it is sturdy enough to support the weight of multiple machines on one shelf.
Let me see if I can get. I don't have that much light in here.
That's okay. I'll look it up on the internet. But I trust you. You've got a Hermes sitting in there, and it's got
I've got the Hermes on top too. So,
and it's deep enough for the regular portable.
Oh yeah,
correct?
Yeah, no.
Okay,
yeah, it's probably wouldn't hold a Royal HH. I don't know. That would be the ultimate test, but they're wonderful. I've got an SM3 on the bottom.
Okay.
But it's a good investment. They're nice.
I'm going to scour Craigslist because I guarantee you that somebody has bought one of those cabinets and now wants to get rid of it, and I'll get one.
And you don't have to put it together.
Cheap. You know? And I don't have to put it together.
Yeah.
But I also wanted to comment on something May said about the typewriters that when you use them, they come back to life. And that has been my experience, hands down, with a machine that I get off of eBay or wherever I get it. I give it a couple shots of PB Blast or whatever, or I do nothing except put a new ribbon in it. And as you use it, it's like it feels the love and it comes back to life. And I spent many, many years, I came out of the military. I spent many, many years working on flight line as a maintenance guy for aircraft. Same thing applies to them. If you don't fly them and you don't love them, they break. So you've got to keep things moving. So that's one reason why I don't want, 30, 40, 50 typewriters, because I would spend all my time doing that, whereas I can manage 5 or 6. So good comment. Thank you.
All right. So let's see. And then I guess the second part of her question is, do you use all of them equally or different ones for different purposes? Now, with me personally, a lot of my typing is for my blog. So I am very focused on trying to spread out the blog posts evenly over all my working typewriters. I want to display all the different typefaces and idiosyncrasies of each typewriter. And so I think I rotate pretty well. As far as writing letters, there's a few that I stick with. I actually love writing to people with one of my thermal typewriters, and I'll leave the paper really long and just fold it up. So, because it's on, I don't know if you're familiar, but they use fax rolls. So
yes.
The paper is like 96 feet long. So, you could basically make the page as long as you need it. and then you
So you
just keep pulling it up.
basically send a scroll instead of a letter, right?
Exactly. Yes, I thought about actually sending it in a tube.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. But how about anyone else?
I tend to just rotate through, basically for my own convenience and my own love of a particular machine, or the fact that I haven't used it in a week or so. I just rotate through. Now, the one that I kind of have special consideration for is the Olympia SM9 script. It's not. It's like if anybody plays guitar, typical guitar has 6 strings, but they do make a 12 string, and a little 12 string goes a long way. And I find that to be true with the script typeface. I use it primarily for letter writing, in the hopes that somebody will think I'm actually have nice penmanship, and they don't realize that it's from a machine. I have to be careful with that, as if I write to a younger person, I often question whether they can actually read script, because I don't know that they were taught that. My kids are in their mid-20s, and I know they were taught cursive writing, but I don't think they ever use it. And I'm not sure that they can actually read what I'm giving. So I often will do that just to test them. But yeah, that's other than that, it's just a rotational thing of whatever is convenient, whatever I feel like using.
Okay. Anyone else?
Well, I'm with both of you. Pretty much, I just grab whatever one feels right to me at the time. A lot of times, I just like switching up the typefaces on my blog, and sometimes it's just, hey, I haven't typed on that one for a while. Let's pull that one out. It's very random.
It's just on a whim. I guess for me, it depends on what I'm typing. If I'm just doing some slow, thoughtful stuff, I'll use a manual. But if I'm typing, I'm doing a lot of journaling now, and it's more just stream of consciousness. I really like to use electric. The electrics are just easier to type for longer periods of time.
Oh yeah.
And then of course, Pico versus Elite. If I'm typing a letter to somebody, I prefer to use the Pico. Is it Pico or Pica?
Pica.
But I prefer to use the Pica if I'm typing to somebody else, just because I feel like it's more open and more readable. But if I'm typing for myself, then I prefer to use an Elite. Yeah. So it depends. The typeface in electric versus manual just is my variables.
Okay, very good. Anyone else? All right, next question. So
I'm sorry. I was trying to share my screen with you guys.
okay.
I don't know if you can see or not the setup I had. Is anybody able to see this picture here or no?
Not yet.
No.
Okay.
I wonder.
Share screen.
Try it again, because I think I have to. I have to add it.
Oh, okay.
There's Sarah also.
Hey, Sarah.
Hello,
Hey, Sarah.
Ah, there you go.
There
nice.
Yeah, so that's the that was
lovely.
already built into the house when we bought it, so it was perfect for typewriters.
Wow.
Nice. I think I've seen that on your website or something.
Yeah, so we had a website
perfect
for the event that we did called Paper Fingers.
Yep.
Okay.
And that one up in the corner here, this one I gave away. This is the one that comes with a radio. I can't remember the name of it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
My friend Kevin has one of those.
Yeah. But people, what was funny was like the younger crowd seemed to like the wood grain stuff more than they did anything else. And I didn't understand that, but I guess I'm getting old enough now with that retro. So
yeah, now I like it again.
yeah.
Sarah, you're broadcasting from the bunk bed again, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I'm
Whatever
undercover.
works.
Yes. She said your connection is better there. So
Yeah.
that's good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, Brian says the one with the radio is a Royal Fleetwood.
That's so neat.
Oh, okay. Very good. Let's see. This next question of May's was very, very good. I love this question. When was the first time you truly used a typewriter, and what did you mostly write back then?
Well, I'll start first since it was my question. I grew up with them, as a little kid reaching up and typing on my dad's typewriter. So I've always been exposed to them. And then I got a little tiny Japanese toy typewriter that actually worked. And so, as a kid, just type up poems and notes to your friends and things like that. But then the 9th grade typing class, we actually were lucky enough. We were still using manuals back then. So once I learned to touch type, I wrote, almost all my school stuff and letters to grandma and things like that. So mostly just for school and fun. And then, of course, like I said, in the 90s. And then I got one of those electronic Smith Coronas for college. And I used that for about 4 years, a daisy wheel, whenever. And I really liked it. It's a nice clean type. And I just strictly use that for school, just school. And then, of course, the internet came around and I gave it away.
I'll say my story was similar to May's, only probably a decade or two earlier based on the way she looks compared to me. But we had that Pencrest machine like the one I have in the house. My mom bought it. And I don't remember anybody using it but me. I don't know why she bought it because I don't remember her ever using it. But I used it for papers, writing papers and things for school. And I believe the first thing I ever wrote on it was about in the 8th grade, which would have been in the mid-70s for me. And it was a paper that I had to write as part of a group that I was in. And by writing the paper and doing the presentation on it, that was the rite of passage, gaining me a round-trip ticket from Atlanta, Georgia to Washington, D.C. to witness the inauguration of President Jimmy Carter, because he was from Georgia. Mm-hmm. So I like to say that that inspired me. Good things can come from when you write and when you share. I also, at the same time, for some reason, one, I liked writing, period. But two, I loved typing. I don't know why. And I would sit in my room and write stories. I still have those stories, most of them, which goes back to the permanence that are created by these machines. Yes. Mm-hmm. I still have those stories, and they're kind of crap, but they're stories.
Put them on your blog.
I would also write letters to the editor of my college newspaper and get put in there, much to the chagrin of the rest of the student body, with my weird thoughts at the time. But I still have those, and I've reflected on that often, in that not only with the old typewritten things that I have, and some handwritten things, as well as traditional photographs and negatives and prints that I still have, whereas the thousands and thousands of digital photographs I've taken, many of them are gone because my poor filing system or something. And I actually wrote a blog about that concept called Deep Six, where, I had this really elaborate hard drive time capsule backup system that I entrusted with all my treasures that now I can't get to anymore. And I don't know where they are. And I'm getting ready to mail that thing to my brother and have him do it. But anyways, off topic. But early in those days, I loved writing. And then like you said, the internet came along, computers came along, wiped all that away. And thankfully, for watching California Typewriter, I was brought back into this mix, which is really where I should be.
Nice.
Well, I guess earliest real writing on typewriters was probably in the early 70s in high school. My dad bought my oldest brother a Hermes 10, electric Hermes typewriter, which we still have in the family. But I probably typed a few high school papers on it. I think I typed like a 20-page essay on Buckminster Fuller or some crazy thing like that for creative writing. I don't know, you can imagine. But I think when I was in the Navy, I was on the USS Constellation aircraft carrier in the late 70s. And yes, there you go. Thank you, David. And one of my temporary assignments, I had a senior chief who had a red IBM Selectric 2, and he said I could use it after normal office hours. And so I was writing a bunch of poems at the time, and I would type them up on his typewriter afterwards, and I still have those original typings somewhere. The poems are just, crap, but so that was like my first real serious writing, except the earliest recollection I have of typewriters was I was probably 3 or 4 years old, sitting in my mother's lap and in the kitchen, and I remember watching her type. And then she paused. I think she was writing a letter to her mom, to my grandma. She paused, and then I typed the entire sentence that she did, except I didn't know how to read. So I think I just memorized her finger positions or something crazy like that, But the thing is, she passed away when I was 5, and none of my brothers can remember a typewriter. So it was just one of those things that got thrown away when she passed away, I guess. But anyways. Yeah,
Ghost typewriter.
Yeah, the ghost typewriter. Yeah.
Anyone else?
Well, I guess let's see. I remember typewriters when I was quite little and when I was a teenager, I guess, because my mom would steal the Selectric from her church office. She was the secretary, and so a lot of times I would get to type on the big Selectric. And before that, I think my parents had a Galaxy Deluxe with the blue platen. I remember that, and I remember they had a Brother AX something or other. It was the daisy wheel. But then there was a long time when I just didn't have access to a typewriter because my parents had a print shop, and so we immediately got into computers as soon as they became available for doing typesetting. And so, as soon as that came around, I never saw a typewriter until the 90s, when I just found one sitting in a thrift store for $4.95, a 48 Royal QDL in perfect condition for $4.95. And I looked at that and I could not pass it up. I just couldn't leave it there.
Yeah.
And for a while there in the 90s, I would just go to thrift stores and I'd find, Silent Supers, machines from the 40s and 50s, which were available very extensively in the 90s and very inexpensively because nobody was picking them up back then. And so I, had a bunch from then, and I didn't know anything at all about typewriters. I just knew that I liked to type on them. I had no idea what years they were, or what what brands, or anything about their functionality or anything like that. And then it wasn't until 2010 when I finally got on the internet, and I was like, well, I got this typewriter, and I kind of wonder if I can find a ribbon for it. And that just opened up. I discovered the Typosphere, or it wasn't called the Typosphere then, but and just went straight down the rabbit hole.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a very enabling group.
Exactly. Yeah. If it weren't for you guys, I would not have all these typewriters. I probably would just have 2. The first 2 I got.
Everything is Joe's fault.
No, it's Ted's fault. It's his website, his blog, his database, everything is typewriter. It just, inspired me. And then, of course, Joe's videos and the Facebook group has been a lot of fun, because I don't have any typewriter friends. You guys are my typewriter friends.
Oh,
I don't know anybody.
Ultimately, I think you can blame it all on Richard Polt.
There you go. It all comes back to him.
Or Tom Hanks,
He was one of the first typewriter blogs I came across, and he had just started his right there in 2010 when I first started looking. So.
And then the Little Flower Petals, she had a typewriter blog, and then Cheryl Lowry, I can't remember her blog, but it was a typewriter blog. Strike Through. She was real influential right about the same time. Yeah.
And Adjoa in Switzerland, and
yes.
There was a whole bunch of old, Mike McGettigan.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, and so there was a whole bunch of those guys that were back then very, very active, and I don't see them much
Yeah.
anymore.
Yes, Indro.
Yep, I see
Typing
Indra's
lessons at school. Yes,
Yep.
that's what happens.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a very
Yeah, I
similar
had-
story for all of us, I'm sure.
And Diane Mayer
I
is
had typing.
backstage.
I think so, yeah.
Gregory.
Yeah, I just added
Oh,
her.
hi.
Hi.
Okay. Hi.
Hi, Diane.
Hi.
Hi, Diane.
Hello.
Good morning,
I don't know if
Diane.
anybody
Hello.
can hear me or not.
Yep.
We
We
can
can.
hear you, yes.
Hello.
Loud and
We
clear.
can hear you.
Hey.
All right, Diane. So you came
Hi.
in at just the right time. So when was the first time you truly
And she's
used a
gone.
typewriter, and what did you mostly write in? Did you hear that? Oh, I think she's gone again.
I think she dropped out.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
I'd be curious to.
Go ahead.
I'd be curious to hear the answer from younger people. Like, what was it that inspired you? People had never seen or used a typewriter before. What inspires them to want to start using and/or collecting typewriters? I wish we could ask them. Yet, maybe we'll ask that in the Facebook group. You have to be under 30 to answer this question.
I think
Hey, May, that's a great question, and it was something I was
Man.
thinking about as
It's
we
a
answered
spirit
that
of
last
rebellion.
question.
Yeah.
Are we in an echo chamber here, or is there really an increased interest in typewriters? I mean, I know the prices are going up, and younger people seem to be adopting them. I'm hoping you can hear me. I had to turn these off.
Yeah.
But are we in an echo chamber, or is this really happening? Over.
It's really happening.
I think it's
definitely really
happening. In the 2 months that I've been looking at typewriters online, I have seen an increase, a small increase in price, and more people bidding on typewriters. Before it'd be like 1 or 2 people bidding, and now it's you'll see 9 or 10 people fighting for the same typewriter. So I think even in this past summer, it was an increase that I could see anyway.
And more people that are refurbishing them too. They take them. I don't think they do anything to them. They say fully
Particularly
refurbished,
during the
and they're
pandemic, I
not-
think.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what inspired me. I was just bored.
I think
Hi.
that. Hi, Dad.
Hey, Diane.
Yeah, I think there's an element to. There's some people that are just incessantly trying to make a buck on eBay. And whatever is the hot items they try to collect. So there's a lot of non-typewriter people that are just trying to move typewriters. But there's also people that are into typewriters and not into social media. So they're not in our little circles of Facebook and blogging, right? They're bigger. It's a bigger circle of people than you might think.
Yeah, I think rebellion is hating what your parents did. So I think not hate, but rebelling against, right?
Yeah.
So I think this generation of people who are brought up with digital touchscreen, the rebellion will be against that. So I think there is hope, and the fact of when we did the paper fingers thing, the philosophy is deleting things and impermanence, just like Dado was talking about. There's nothing permanent about Facebook, there was nothing personal about permanent about MySpace, when that came out. So I think that not maybe kids that are maybe 2 or 3 now will probably be into this at some point in the future, because there will be a backlash against technology and freedom of thought, because how many things can you do online that don't, somebody's not marketing something to you. If you want to write, you write without distraction. And I think we'll see that in the future, I believe, at least.
Yeah. I think both Joe and I belong to a group for the Alpha Smarts and similar machines. And I remember when I first joined it, it was very small, and it's exploded.
Oh,
so, and that's that sort of resurgence of disconnecting from the internet and just writing privately, distraction free. So it's amazing how that group has grown, actually.
Yeah.
So I do think that's a trend. All right.
Well, it feels good to be a pioneer.
I know,
in
right?
Something
That's
good
right.
like this.
Owning a file cabinet is amazing. And filing your stuff like physically, that's my recommendation to anybody listening. Get yourself a file cabinet, and when you're done with something, file it in your file cabinet.
There you go.
Is that another
Make
plug?
sure you
Is
put
that
a
another
date.
plug for IKEA?
Yeah, absolutely.
He gets commissions from IKEA.
Yeah, I work for IKEA, by the way. No, you can get file cabinets very cheap.
Oh, Sarah's
Nobody
showing
wants-
something here.
Use a notebook.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
This is my notebook. Yeah, so this is a notebook that I started at the beginning of my typewriter interest. And it
Wow.
has, it's not a file cabinet, but for me, it helps to have something a little more visual. And so this shows every single machine that I have worked on. Sorry, I'm not showing this too well, but I actually have tabs with each of the, here we go, each of the different machines and writing that I've done on them. And then I've also kept typeface samples of everything. So I have typeface specimens for, every single machine that I've had, an experience working on or been able to enjoy since this time. So, it's only the last couple of months really, but I've got probably 30 or 27 typeface specimens here that I've kept.
I like that phrase.
So yeah, I keep
been able
samples
to
of
enjoy.
Yes.
That's a great idea. So you keep up with-
because it is really a temporary thing.
Yeah, I use notebooks like that, 3-ring binders, and it's amazing how many blog articles you can get in a big 3-inch binder, for instance.
Mhm.
Yep.
Well, I need an organization system, so you're
Yes,
giving me
yes.
great ideas. All I have is a stack.
It's pretty
I
much
have
my
drawers
experience.
full.
I got stacks and drawers and file folders jammed everywhere.
I always date them.
I've got a plastic tub.
I have a cardboard box.
Yeah.
I have a table, a kitchen table.
Yeah, here's another.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
I moved my stack just to see
Come on,
my
Kat.
typewriter's better.
Yeah.
You guys are impressively organized.
Yeah.
Fuzzy cat.
But I like the folder idea. So do you hole punch
Yeah.
the paper, or do you attach the paper into the binder a different way, or just hole punch it?
Yeah.
Yeah, hole punch.
I hole punch
if I-
everything. Like even you can see I've got.
Yeah, great.
And if I type on smaller pieces of paper,
And even
I'll
experiments
tape
with carbon
them.
paper.
Yeah, I'll tape mine to a letter size piece of paper and then hole punch that.
Kind of like scrapbooking in a way.
Yeah,
Interesting.
which uses twice as much paper,
Supposed
but
Yeah.
it's just paper.
You just have to type on the backing sheet as well.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
All right. So we have another question here
Yeah.
from John
Well,
Maillet.
yeah.
I'd be interested in methods of finding typewriters and some challenges. I'm having a hard time finding any close to me. And I want to say he's in Canada. Does anybody know?
Yes,
John
yeah,
John May?
Yeah, he is in Canada. Yep.
Okay. So where does everybody find their typewriters?
Thrift stores, mainly.
Yeah.
Me too.
Online.
Facebook Marketplace. I've found 3 or 4 there, and the rest of them, shopgoodwill.com.
I know. That's what I have to resort to.
Yeah, that's what I have to report to. The ones here are all like the electronic ones that I don't want. So, and I've had good luck with Shop Goodwill. I have not had any that were damaged in shipping at all. They were actually all well packed. I think they had FedEx or UPS pack them for them, and if you can, find one that's packed, it's fine. But I've seen those horror stories of people getting eBay typewriters, or even Shop Goodwill in some locations aren't very good. And the typewriter is just destroyed, and it's so sad because it's irreplaceable.
Yeah, actually, when you win something on Shop Goodwill, you can actually then contact them, and one of the options is the the shipping department, and then you can actually give them instructions on how to pack it. Like I recently won typewriter that didn't have a case, so I told them, be sure and secure the carriage. So, because you hear those horror stories. Definitely. What were you saying, Sarah? I think she's on a delay again.
Actually, my first one I got from Etsy.
Oh, okay.
Oh, darn it. That darn delay. Yeah, my first one was from Etsy, from a seller in the Netherlands, actually. And I'll hold it for you. It's really heavy, so I'm going to try to hold it up here.
Oh.
Ooh.
It's a Voss.
Nice. I can see why you couldn't resist that typewriter.
Wow.
Yeah, this one, well, it was my first one. It was a gift to myself with tax return money. So yeah, I spent more than 200 on it, a little more than 200. And it took quite a few weeks to get to me, but it was beautifully packaged. It came from a company that you've probably seen on YouTube, Tony's Typewriters. And they show basically a picture of their, the typewriter they're selling, and then they type on it so you can see what it sounds like and looks like, and then that's it. At that point, I was really looking for what is it going to sound like and how crisp is the print. And that was what went into my decision making. After I got it, it was wonderfully packaged, no problem at all. I'm very happy with them as a seller, although I know that Jennifer Colombo kind of laughs and says that when she gets them from them, she always repaints them anyway. I don't know the story there, but this was repainted, obviously. And, when I opened it up, it smelled like paint. But it did work really well. It's mechanically an amazing machine. I just got lucky that I had the weirdly good taste to pick a Voss in the first place, because it's an incredible machine. The typeface is really small, so I'm not, that part is kind of a downside for me. And my typewriter repair guy would not replace the platen because he was too afraid of damaging the paint and couldn't remember to get the platen out. But that one, and then I've also bought some on eBay from,
Dado, did you have a question for her?
Yeah, well, I didn't want to interrupt you. Go ahead and finish what you're saying.
I'm sorry for the delay. I don't know how to fix that. It's quite annoying. Anyway, I have bought some from eBay that were not destroyed. So I just wanted to say that sometimes you can get deals. Like I got one from Serbia, and it was weirdly packed, and it took 3 weeks, but it actually was in perfect shape when it came. I have gotten quite a few from Shop Goodwill, but it's very competitive. And then, of course, locally, I actually did get my Hermes for $20 on Craigslist. And that was just a complete fluke. So there you go. Those are some of the ways that I found, of course, nextdoor.com and things like that. Yeah.
I haven't thought about Nextdoor. That's
nothing
a
in
good
thrift
one.
stores around here. It's all junk.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Oh, and Macari. The Macari seller app. They have quite a few typewriters on Macari too, so it's a good place.
Oh yeah.
But like somebody said, you've got to message the seller and tell them how to pack a typewriter, because most people who go like thrifting to buy stuff to resell, they're not typewriter people, like Gregory said. They're just trying to make a buck, which is fine, because I want people to go out to garage sales and thrift stores and find them and put them online. Like the more the merrier. But a lot of people don't know how to pack the typewriter, so you do have to communicate with any seller when you buy a typewriter online.
Now, I'm wondering if, like, Shop Goodwill...
I got one from Macari, and the woman did a good job, actually.
Me too. I have one.
Yeah, I'm wondering if, like, Shop Goodwill has, like, a Canadian counterpart or equivalent.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Shop Goodwill, eh?
Oh. We're gonna put him in the corner. No, that was good actually.
Hey, I love my Canadian friends.
Yeah,
yes, me too.
It's kind of funny. This is a total aside, but ever since I was young, everybody thinks I'm Canadian, and I'm not even sure why. But when they say, I usually tell them, "Well,
Oh, you do seem Canadian, Gregory.
do I? Excellent."
Are you in the upper Midwest?
It's the light.
Well, I tell people.
Yeah, it's your accent.
Okay. I tell people it's because my dad was a hillbilly, or is a hillbilly, and my mom was actually raised in the jungles of Peru. So somehow that makes me Canadian.
Wow.
So yeah,
Peruvian hillbilly Canadian.
yeah, yeah. So I've gotten that
That's
my
very
whole
exotic.
life. So I actually take it.
There's a show on YouTube called Curiosity Incorporated. I don't know if anybody's watched this.
No.
It's a young man who runs an antique shop, and it's a fantastic program. And he goes all over the place to estate sales and finds some of the coolest stuff. And him and his wife actually built an old style general store out of the antiques that they were able to find. But he is in, I don't know if he's in Winnipeg or in Manitoba, but check out his channel. Maybe that can give you some ideas, because he finds some pretty amazing stuff up there. He may be even in Saskatchewan. I don't know, but it's a wonderful program. You guys would all go nuts for it, I know, because it's unboxing stuff that he has found at estate sales, and some vintage watches and cool things like that. And he knows a lot about different antiques. So
Yeah. Estate sales, that would be another good resource. I haven't had any luck with estate sales yet. I think I saw an electronic typewriter at one, but I was like, I have plenty of electronic typewriters already. So, yeah. All right. So we have another question from Creighton Smith. I wonder what your thoughts are on what is not worth fixing. And then he thanks us for our efforts. So is there something that's not worth fixing?
I imagine there is, but I've never encountered it.
Well,
I knew you were going to say that, Ted.
I think at least worth trying. They're all at least worth trying. And then, of course, the level of your skill is going to determine whether or not you can fix it.
Yeah.
And the level of your skill increases as you try.
Exactly, especially if you buy the typewriter repair Bibles.
Now, if you just had one for Smith Premier, Ted.
I don't have anything that old. I keep trying.
I know.
I know there's a Hammond book out there. I know there's a Hammond repair book out there somewhere. I've seen the cover.
Oh, wow.
An image of the cover.
Wow.
But I have never found a copy. But that's the oldest thing I've really seen, other than like the really old Underwood standard repair manuals. But I think back then most people didn't really use books. They just learned from each other, or they learned apprentice-wise, or they went to schools. And a lot of times, if you knew how to fix an Underwood, you were expected to know how to fix anything. So I don't think a whole lot of repair manuals still exist for machines that old, if they existed at all.
Yeah. I know Joe talks a lot about just like looking at the machine and seeing how the different parts interact and just kind of tracing the problem and figuring it out that way.
That's what I
That's
did.
pretty much what they did back then. Yeah.
That gets back to my old experience as a consumer electronics technician.
Yes.
Where a lot of times you didn't have schematics and you had to kind of trace things out and figure it out yourself. But another thing I've noticed that's just as important is knowing when not to work on something, like knowing when you're at your limits of your skill and you don't want to go any further and break the machine irreparably. And sometimes you have to come up with alternative ways to address a problem that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's kind of my problem. I have a tendency to make problems worse. I think I mentioned one of the typewriters I was working on. I thought it was a simple problem, and I started working on it, I did fix that problem, but then like 4 or 5 other problems popped up, and I was like, and I had spent 3 hours on this, so I just kind of threw my hands up, and I'll get back to it at some point. But it's definitely a learning process, and it's something you just have to be patient with yourself and with the machines, and just keep at it.
Ask questions.
Yeah.
And also, I think it depends on whether it's a hobby for you or whether it's a business. Like people that are into typewriter repair and resale probably need to work faster and probably will, give up on a typewriter. They're not going to spend 3 days on a typewriter. But someone, that has all the time in the world to work on it as a hobby, you can do all kinds of things. The typewriters are not relatively that expensive. Most of mine average $40-$50. So if I tear it up, I've spent more on a good dinner that, I just flush down the toilet later. So, it's sometimes just, getting a typewriter to me was like the whole repair experience is just as interesting as typing itself.
Yeah.
Hey, can I show you guys something?
Sure.
Yes. Sure. Hey.
I talked about visiting a typewriter repairman before, and I found the pictures. Let me just real quick. I'll show you guys some of the pictures from a typewriter repairman shop. Give me just a second, and let me see if this. Can you guys see this?
Yes.
Oh.
Okay, so this was the first one. This was from it's a second generation typewriter repairman named Larry Schultz, and his father is still repairing stuff. His name's Clem. So this was the first one he showed me.
Wow.
But here's a old box, with machine numbers. There's an Adler. Ted can probably tell you more about some of these.
That's an Adler Universal Shell right there.
Yeah.
It's like
got the Olivetti back here. Here's how he keeps all of his. He kept all of his stuff.
That is a beheaded gold goose.
Yeah.
Very rare.
Yeah. Got the Oliver Woodstock. There's a Remington Portable.
Mm-hmm.
This was kind of neat. These are the boxes, that the typewriters would come in.
Wow.
That he still hasn't unpacked.
Right. Here's his setup.
Wow.
And then there's an Olympia that he wanted to sell me that I wouldn't buy.
Tight bars.
Yeah. Trying to think if there's anything else. Here we go. How about
There's
that?
a Hammond.
Wow.
Hammonds, yeah. So I don't even know how the heck that works, Ted.
How it works? It's basically like a Selectric, except that it only goes in 2 directions and it's all manual.
Okay.
At least that one is. So you push a button and it pushes a hammer in the back towards the. Basically, there's no platen. It just has like a leather strip in the back and a hammer behind that. And when you press a key, that hammer comes and pushes the paper forward against the cylinder and prints the character.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if this was Molman's or not, but that's in pretty good shape.
Yeah, and then the paper feeds inside that little wire basket underneath. So it doesn't feed like a normal platen would. It actually just stuffs everything down in that little cage. That's a paper cage. Keeps the paper in there so it doesn't get away.
So David, I'm gonna do a little detour here, but I used to work at a TV repair shop, and those pictures you showed, this was a little book I made on Blurb called TV Shop. And this is the TV shop that I used to work at, one of the TV shops. And I did
a picture of you though on the front there?
No, that's one of the guys that works at the shop. These were some guys that I used to work with, and I just love the photographic possibilities of dingy old repair shops. This guy here is in his 80s. His name is Florencio Rosales, and he's been working in the TV repair business since the 70s. But just the old
man, look at that.
The parts bins and the shelves
wow.
full of old circuit boards and test equipment and Pat Robertson on the TV screen, which I thought is hilarious, right?
Oh my.
The possibilities, wires, tangles of wires.
Yeah.
So anyways, I thought
I'm right there with you. He had a barn too. I've got video of his shop and his dad's shop, and the stuff that you see. It's beautiful. It's amazing.
It is. It is.
And we live in such a throwaway society now. I remember me and my dad going to get the Zenith fixed. And the same guy that fixed the televisions rented out VHS tapes, and he'd always have the bootlegs. So we'd get the stuff before it came out for rent. But I always loved going to those shops. And
I remember the Motorola Quasar was a TV set that came out in the 60s and 70s, and their advertising slogan was "Works in the drawer," meaning all the electronics were in a pull-out drawer. And we had a slogan: "Works in the drawer, drawers in the shop." Pieces of junk.
Love it. That's great. That's like Ford found on road dead.
Yeah, exactly.
Fiat, fix it again, Tony.
Yes, that's right.
Ford,
exactly.
Ford, fix or repair daily.
Yeah, failure in automotive technology. I heard from Fiat as well.
Yes.
And getting back to the original question about, is it worth fixing? I have one typewriter that is going to be in a complete, total, permanent state of disrepair because I've been pulling parts off of it that are compatible with other typewriters. Ted might remember my made in China typewriter I got, when I first started. And, springs are springs. I pulled the perfectly good ribbon spools off. The knobs fit my brother. The keys, if my brother keys ever go bad, the keys will be able to. I'm trying to figure out how to take the platen and the paper bail out to replace another typewriter that needs it. So some typewriters aren't worth fixing. They're worth tearing apart and using for other typewriters.
Yeah.
They're organ donors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Cannibalizing.
Yeah.
That's right.
All right. I do briefly want to say hello and welcome again to Alton Gansky.
Yes.
It's always good to have you here, sir.
Thank you. Late as always, but
better late than never, right?
Yeah.
How are things in your world?
Pretty good. Still,
excellent.
Still hunkering down as we're supposed to be doing here in California. So
anything new on the typewriter front?
I just spent a couple days over at the coast with some friends, and that's one of my typewriter safari areas. We didn't get to go to as many antique stores because one of the other persons had just had leg surgery. So, but I came across an early Olympia SM9, pretty dirty, and was on the floor. That's one of the first things I learned about collecting typewriters is you always look at the floor. That's because they're heavy.
They're heavy.
When you go to an antique shop or something like that, I've tripped over typewriter cases before. In fact, that's how I found the facet, as I tripped over it. So, and but anyway, I picked it up. They wanted $160 for it, and I said, "No, that's too much. I already have one anyway, and so I don't need it. $160 too much." Though I did notice I hesitated to put the lid down. So, but I escaped anyway. So
okay, a close call.
That was close.
Got there, Sarah.
I guess that's our cannibalized typewriter.
Cannibalized parts,
Okay.
Parts machine.
All right. So there you go. There you go.
Eventually, we're going to get to that point.
Yeah.
Nice. And I think sometimes it's good to take a typewriter apart. Find one that's really cheap that you don't really care about too much. Maybe a plastic one, just to take apart. Just to kind of see how everything works and see if you can figure out how to do repairs, increase your skill level. So that might be a good tip is get a $5 typewriter that you intend to do what Sarah has done to those right there.
Yep.
And that's what I
go ahead.
Go ahead. That's what I intended to do. Like I found a couple of really cheap typewriters, but
like
they work. So I can't take it apart if it works, right?
That's right. That's right.
I've never seen a $5 typewriter.
$5 typewriter.
You don't want to buy the $5 typewriter.
I have all the time.
I have several that I've gotten for under 10, and I have gotten. I have
the
some that are
cheapest one
free.
is 10. It's $10 the cheapest I've gotten. It was worth it, just to have the spare parts off of it.
Mhm.
Is that a good typewriter, Ted?
I keep pulling parts off this machine, and I can't kill it. It still works.
You didn't need those parts.
It's a Corsair. I keep pulling parts off of it to fix Skywriters, and it doesn't seem to matter. It just keeps working, and
wow.
so, you can call that a testament to the design
quality,
or.
So you're building the minimalist Corsair is what you're doing.
Right now, I basically use this so I can practice repairs, basically. So if I want to practice adjusting the Skywriter or escapement, I just yank it out and there it is. I can just go straight to it.
So
it's super handy.
Yep. So Indro had a question about tools in the comments. He said that they're hard to find, and typewriter-specific tools like legacy typewriter tools are few and far between. And you occasionally see people on the Facebook page who come across a whole set of typewriter tools, right, including the special tools for bending type bars and all that.
Yes.
Those are hard to come by. I had kind of was showing you guys earlier this Chapman set that's specifically called a typewriter set, and it's mostly straight bit slotted screws. And let me focus this camera. But what they're showing is they call hollow ground bits, where they're straight sided and they'll go all the way down into the bottom of a screwdriver slot, so you don't mangle the head of the screw. And you can get these kinds of tools often from gunsmithing tools, or the same kind of bits. So I don't know if that helps you, Indro, because maybe it's harder to find gunsmithing tools in Europe than in America. But so for slotted screwdrivers, certainly gunsmithing kind of bits are handy.
Excellent. All right, so we have another question, and are you something, Ted? Oh, there we go.
The toolkit.
Yes.
Nice.
This
looks like you.
So Ted, you're trying to get us to hate you?
Yes. We're jealous now. We don't hate you, but we're jealous.
This tool right here is called a T-bender. That is going to be one of the most important tools you're going to get as a typewriter repair person. Other than screwdrivers, this is a type bar bender and straightener. So it forms the head of the type bar. You can form it left, right, up and down. You can form the actual key lever.
Nice.
That's an IBM tool, and that kind of has a bunch of the alignment stuff all in one. You got your 9-prong pliers, which are handy for also straightening things, links mostly. And then you have maulers, which are great for breaking stuff.
Yes. He was a German composer, right?
Yep. As a matter of fact, he was.
Mahler.
Yeah. But that's kind of the basic kit that I'd bring along to places. So that's pretty much all I had to show.
Excellent. I do want to point out that we finally have the official Brady Bunch set up here.
Yeah.
Guess who's call in? Maya's Paul Lind.
Yep.
Yeah, Hollywood
Yay.
Finally.
Oh, it's taken weeks.
Yeah.
All right. So
somebody
we have,
had mentioned in the one thing. Somebody had mentioned in the Facebook group
Yay.
if there was a way to kind of exchange some of these specialty tools that are so hard to find. Like I would be totally open to paying someone like a good deposit just to guarantee you're going to get it back. Have them ship the tools to me for a couple weeks, maybe a month, and then ship it back and get my deposit back. Is that something that people have been doing, or is that just an idea someone had? And
I think it's an
you
idea
have.
someone had.
yeah, someone had, but like your type bar
You mean like
bender
a
set,
tool library, or-
I'd like to rent a type bar bender set for a couple of my typewriters.
You
so
can
maybe
make one. They're so easy. I mean, realistically, this is just a screwdriver with a hole. Oh wait, there we go. A screwdriver with a slot in it. And basically, you're just doing this sort of thing, twisting links and bars and stuff. So, if you get a screwdriver with a handle on it and, get yourself a file and file that notch in there, that's pretty much all you need. It doesn't need to be anything special.
But what about the vertical alignment? It seems like the vertical alignment is the hardest to bend. Side to side I use my hand side to side.
Well, if you have a wide enough slot,
good
you can
idea,
put that
Ted.
tool in sideways and bend it vertically like that.
Oh,
Yeah.
So if you make some of those, you can sell them on Etsy as type art tools.
Another rabbit hole.
Another rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Rabbit hole, courtesy of Joe Van Cleve.
Oh yeah.
I think he's full of rabbit holes.
Master of rabbit holes.
All right. So
I have seen.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have seen on the Facebook group somebody just
might be.
posted.
Yeah.
Somebody just posted a set of wrenches that they had their metal fabrication shop put together. That was
Patty.
specifically sized and bent for the angles that you use in typewriters. So there are people creating new tools, and I think that will become more common as this group gets larger and larger and more thirsty for tools. They are definitely harder to get than the typewriters themselves, but they are not impossible to get. You always see tools on eBay anyway. If you're willing to spend the money, you can get the tools. It's
just watch
not hard to
for
do.
auctions, and I think I might do that.
Just go to the typewriter repair person.
There's
Save yourself some money.
Yeah.
there are no typewriter repair places here in Central Arkansas.
There's a list that Richard Holt put up. That's how, or was it you, Ted?
No, it's Richard Poltz.
Typewriter repairman by state. By
you
location.
can search. You can do Google.
Yeah.
Holt typewriter.
And it'll change your life. When you meet a typewriter repairman, it's life-changing experience because you learn so much, and it's well worth going to if you can try to find one if there's one in your area.
That's not it. That's it.
Yeah, you don't want to have to buy every single tool you need.
Right.
Sorry, my dog's yelling again.
Nice.
Yeah, Richard Polt keeps this page here where he lists every typewriter repair shop that he knows about or that anyone tells him about. There's various countries, and if you scroll down to the United States, you start getting, let's see, there we go. Now we got
so Arkansas.
States. Arkansas.
Yeah, see?
Oh my goodness.
I know nothing in Arkansas.
I do not currently know of any typewriter repair.
I know. There was one a long time ago. And he closed up shop.
Echo.
Did you Are you close to any other states or border? any
The
states?
closest one would be there's I think some good ones in Oklahoma and Texas.
Okay.
But other than that, that's why I had to figure it out on my own. I didn't have a place to go and take my typewriter to get looked at. But on the other hand, I kind of want to do it as a side business once I get better, my skill level and get some tools. Maybe not doing it full time, but because I don't think there's that much demand here in Arkansas. But every now and then, if somebody needs help with the typewriter, I can, be the one.
Well,
I
can't help but think that with additive manufacturing, it seems like with a set of plans, you should be able to get a machine shop to make tools. Like order a set of tools, just like we can order the typewriter repair Bibles that Ted has put together. It would be great if Ted had a link on his website where you want to buy this tool, you go and put an order in and somebody makes it right then from a milling machine, a computerized milling machine, and mails it to you, right? A piece of a tool. It seems like somebody should be able to design those. Yeah.
I've got that Ames catalog up on Typewriter database that shows all the typewriter tools. So anyone who wants me to link to their manufacturing that says I can get this tool, then I will do that.
Sure.
Definitely make a pilgrimage. I know that Joe has a video where he went to, just for the experience, if nothing else. It's amazing. I can't recommend it enough. So.
Yeah. All right. So we have another question. This one's from Brian Clark. And this one is very fascinating because I've been thinking about it myself. Is rubber shrink wrap to refurb a platen even worth trying?
That's a mixed bag, I think.
Yeah.
Right.
I've never done it, so
I've seen people do it really well, but I don't feel
Ted
like I
has
could
done
trust
it.
myself to do it.
Ted has put shrink tubing on platens.
Okay. I'm not sure what he's showing there. That's just a slideshow. Oh, okay. He'll be
Is that
back.
a Calibri?
Let's see. But I haven't recovered in myself with shrink tubing. I've only had one platen done by J.J. Short, and I think it was worth it. The trick is always some typewriters are harder to remove the platen.
Yeah.
Right. That's always the challenge.
Yeah, that for me is the key. I mean, if I could go through the effort of removing the platen, I'm just going to send it off to JJ Short.
Yeah.
I might get a family discount or something. I don't know.
Right.
He will discount the more you send him. Although it's not as big as we might think it should be. Because I just got some back from him. I had sent in, I don't know, 5, I think, and some feed rollers. Cat, get off of the keyboard. This is what I go through this all week long at work, and it's like, Cat, get off the keyboard. But anyway, several of the ones that I had were Smith Premier and Smith Corona, so those came off pretty easily, and I took an Olympia off. I want to get an SG1 off, but I can't figure. I know somebody said all you gotta do is turn it, and it's like, well, I can't seem to turn it because it's like in there so hard, so tight that I can't turn it.
Hey Diane, this is David.
Yeah.
Dotto. I did that with my SG1. They kept telling me the same thing. All you gotta do is twist the ends off. Well, one end would come undone, the other end would not. And the way that I worked around that is I took don't cringe, but I took a set of channel locks or adjustable jaw pliers to hold the platen, and I knew I was going to get it recovered, so I figured if I damaged it, I don't care. But once I held the platen, I was able to torque the left-hand knob off. But they're supposed to just screw off, but this one was jammed. Once I did that, it popped right off, and I actually didn't damage the platen, thankfully, but I did send it off and get it recovered, and I had the 4 rollers recovered as well. And I believe my machine's a 12-inch. It wasn't cheap, I think the whole drive-out price was about $150 for the large platen and 4 rollers, but it was well worth it because I'm able to use the speed loader now, and it just sucks the paper right in. It's fantastic. Hope that helps.
So I have a question about that covering. So I don't know if you can see, but I have a pretty nice crack that runs down the full length of my platen. And can JJ Short do brothers, or only certain brands?
I think you can do them all.
You know?
Yeah, he can do them all, I think.
Okay.
Just take the knobs
I would
off.
like.
They're
I mean,
an equal opportunity
Yeah, do 'em
platen
all.
restorer.
So so this is not good.
Yep.
So it's a great
Give 'em a
typewriter.
tube, they'll
Everything
stick
else
rubber
is
on it.
perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I'm going to do.
They're an industrial. They do industrial machines like printing presses and all kinds of other machines that use rubber rollers besides typewriters.
see.
So
Okay.
Right.
All right. So, and I do know there's a video on YouTube. Someone actually demonstrates putting the rubber tube on there and using the heat gun to kind of tighten it. So you can find that
I've
on
seen
YouTube.
that one. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
What I thought about.
Yeah, I don't feel like
Go ahead.
my skill would be good enough. But
yeah.
I thought about getting some that stuff called Flexi-Seal. It comes in white and black.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought about trying to fill that in. You know, just experiment with it. The worst that could happen is it doesn't work, and I'll just have to send it in. But
I think what you'd have to do is lathe it down. You'd have to lathe the old rubber down a certain amount. Like measure ahead of time what you think the finished platen needs to be, right? And then lathe it down by a 1/4 inch or more, and then put some of that Flex Seal on it. You'd have to make a bracket that kind of spins it with a little blade that keeps it smooth until it cures. And then you might make your own rubber.
My recommendation is JJ Short.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
Ultimately, that's the best. It's just they're kind of pricey, you know, but it's worth it though. It completely makes the typewriter brand new again.
That other guy called Turbo Platen, on eBay, he was using a material other than rubber. He was using what is it? PVC, polyvinyl chloride, a clear PVC sleeve, and he was claiming it was better than rubber, lasts longer, and he could also paint the core of your platen a certain color so that when you put the clear sleeve on it, looks colored. But I think his service was more expensive than JJ Short. And I'm not sure if he's in business right now, but he used to do that a few years ago. So, well, since Gregory left, we can have our own meeting now. Let's take control of this channel.
Let's see. Anybody have any other questions? I've asked a lot of questions.
How's the writing going, Elton?
Yeah.
Pretty good. My son and I are working on a book together, which is kind of unique, and he's written 5, 6 books, something like that. And so we're trying something that's out of both our genres. He does mostly fantasy novels, and all my fiction is either suspense, supernatural suspense, sometimes action adventure. But so we're trying something a little different, and so it's kind of fun. We're separated by 4 hours, so there's not much danger of physical abuse going on working together. But it's fun, and we're also doing it a little differently. We're going to do episodic fiction. We're trying something that's fairly new, something I did with 3 other writers a while back called The Harbingers. And that worked out actually very well. We self-published, and then a publisher came in and bought it.
Nice.
So that was kind of fun. That wasn't expected, but because contemporary publishing isn't set up for that kind of episodic stuff, unless you can sell a bajillion. I don't usually sell a bajillion. I don't sell half a bajillion. And so yeah, that's been going on, and I'm mentoring another writer, and so I'm staying busy.
That's good.
Very good. Sorry about that. I had to pop away. The dogs were insisting on going outside. So.
What could go wrong?
Yeah. So we have another question here from Doug Jackson, and this one's also interesting. I'm in the early stages, but it's going to affect me as time goes on. So he's asking about the steps needed to make to adjust the pressure on the keys, as far as making it more comfortable for someone that has arthritis.
Electric typewriter.
Yeah.
I would recommend. But if you want to go manual, there are some typewriters
Hermes
that have
3000.
adjustment. All of my bigger brothers have the adjustment.
A lot of the
my Royal QDL has adjustments.
a lot of the typewriters that have the adjustment doesn't do much, because what they're doing is there's a thing called a universal bar that runs crosswise underneath the linkages, and it's operated by any one of the keys you type. It moves the universal bar, and it does ribbon movement and ribbon vibrator up and down when you type. And any of those pivot points, the universal bar pivoting, the spring tension on the universal bar, anything driving the ribbon system, all of that is part of the force that you're feeling when you're typing. And if any of those linkages are greased up with glued up grease, you're going to have to clean them out, re-lubricate them. But even at the best, it's limited by the design of the machine. How easy was it? What kind of leverage do you have, right? So some machines are just intrinsically easier to type on than others. And I've had a little bit of sort of arthritis in my thumbs a little bit. And so I'm a little sensitive to a hard typing. One of the things that helped me, to be honest, is not touch typing, but typing just with one finger on each hand. But having said that, there's some machines that are easier to type on. Hermes 3000s are pretty easy. But if you want the look of the manual machine, but you want electric, then get one of these Type R electric machines, like the Smith Chrono 5 series, or even the Galaxies and stuff like that. They're pretty inexpensive. So I think that's a good compromise.
My Olivetti Latera 32 is very soft, I've noticed. But
they are.
Do not get a brother. All brothers are very firm.
That's right.
I do like that, but a lot of people don't.
I like my Studio 45 I got recently. That has that nice, easy touch like a 32. And
I like Adlers, actually. 1960s Adlers, Triumphs, the Gabriels and stuff like that have a very light touch. I've been surprised at how light they are. Unfortunately, the early 60s ones are carriage shifted, which
not my
you get
favorite.
A little bit of, you get a little lightness on the touch and you get a little heaviness on the shift. So
Kitty.
That's a hard question.
That's a good point. Get the basket shift if you need basket shift for sure.
Yeah.
Electric.
Yeah, so
electric's my way to
go. So basically, either just go electric or just kind of trial and error and just try different typewriters and see what feels comfortable. Yeah.
Get a Hermes.
Yeah, get a
Hermes.
Hermes.
That the larger typewriters, like the smaller portables, I've never had a bigger, standard desktop or whatever they're called. Is the feel on them different than portables?
Oh yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, they're usually better.
Yeah, Royal HH is, man, that's a wonderful machine to type on. They're humongous.
There you go.
You got one right there?
Nice.
Or you got no, he's got
SG1.
Nice.
SG1. Yeah.
Nice.
Very nice.
Yeah, so that's the other thing, right? Getting a full upright professional machine, if you will. But
or just get a daisy wheel.
Or get a daisy wheel.
I know, yeah. Well, I love daisy wheels just for the fact that I can so easily change the typeface.
Yeah.
And and if you really want to
thermal typer.
Oh yeah, I love those.
Those are the quietest, I bet.
Yes. Some more so than others. As Joe and I discovered, the Casio CW10 is actually very loud.
Yeah,
it makes quite a racket.
it does.
All right,
There
so
is no shame.
yeah. So we have a couple more questions here from Thor Halbert again. So he says, how do you craft your own tools to make restoration jobs easier? And can you supply examples of homemade tools?
I have made my own tools.
I
I'm not
guess
sure.
I guess my homemade tool would be a toothpick.
My repair shop uses a lot of tools that they make.
Yeah.
Okay.
I use
I think,
toothbrushes, old toothbrushes.
Yeah.
If you go to Phoenix Typewriters YouTube channel, you'll see him occasionally using a type bar bender like what Ted talked about earlier, which is basically a wide flat blade screwdriver with a slot ground in it. He uses those a lot, and you can see him how he uses them. So that's one example of a homemade tool, probably the most common example. Another thing is a bent type screwdriver shaft. Right, you bend it a little bit because sometimes it's hard to get into some of those places with a longer screwdriver, a straight screwdriver.
Yeah, and get something with magnetic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You learn that one.
Or you'll be down on your hands and knees looking for parts on the floor.
I can't tell you. I mean, when it happens and you're.
I know.
Devastating.
There you go.
Two things that I like.
Yes.
I don't know how to pronounce it. Molybdenum.
Molybdenum.
Molybdenum. Yeah. Those are great to. You just get a stack of them, and anything you need to magnetize, you just kind of stick them on.
Oh, that's a great idea. Yeah.
It instantly magnetizes them.
Ted
and it
Mom,
also
gentlemen, Ted Mom.
And then set it.
It allows you to stick your screwdriver right to your metal light.
There you go.
Where it's always handy.
Yes.
Such a wealth of information.
That's a really good tip.
Yeah.
That's a great tip. I just saw some of those at the hardware store the other day when I was looking for grommets. They're not very expensive either.
Just grab a stack of them, and you'll find uses for them basically everywhere.
Yep.
Here's a tool that I like from a previous life. Like Joe, I was a electronics repair person for a while, but also in the previous life, I was an electrician.
Oh.
These little screwdrivers,
yes,
they're split at the end, and as you slide this up, it holds the screw.
Yes.
And I found that these to be helpful. I have two sizes. This one I seldom use because it's huge. This one is really handy because you drop a screw, as you know, you're going to end up taking the whole thing apart to get it out. So I don't use the magnetic one as much, although I do have a magnetic pickup device. This thing is handy. This is actually made by, well, it says Quick Wedge. I'm not sure who makes it or where I got it, but I probably had this 20 or 30 years.
Very good.
Yep.
Indra is saying a dental tool, the one with the pointy ends. Bend the point and get the springs and unhook.
Yes.
Also,
you can buy those.
I use those
tools here in America pretty easily. A whole set of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bought a set of those and use them all the time.
Harbor Freight has a bunch of stuff like that too.
Maybe I'll do a video about tools like that. Maybe.
Yeah, you should.
Good thing. Good topic. So.
Oh yeah, well maybe I'll do one.
You should do one.
You do need to get back to making videos.
How about you all do one?
Let's do a collaborative one right here. Right
the more the merrier.
That's right. More YouTube channels we need.
Yeah.
I think I swear too much when I try to repair typewriters.
Oh my goodness, I'm there with you.
Yeah.
I tried to make one a couple of years ago, but I fumbled around so much trying to do what it was I was trying to do that I'm just like, seriously? And then I had no idea how to edit the video, and I just kind of gave up.
Yeah. It's like that Adam Sandler, go in your hole, that's your home. You know, you're trying.
Well, Diane, one of the secrets is I edit out all my ums and ahs, or at least I try to.
Yeah, I was trying to install a new ribbon on the Smith Premier 4.
Oh.
And so, yeah, it got interesting. And yeah, my hands were all over the place. And it was just like, seriously? Nobody can see what I'm doing.
Bye, Sarah.
Bye, Sarah.
Bye, Sarah.
Bye, Sarah.
You do have to have a good connection. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other part of Thora's question is just tricks of the trade, adjusting or aligning the springs underneath to make operation smoother.
I've taken
one.
loose springs and clipped them to make them shorter so they'd be springier and stretchier. But that's the only thing I've ever done with springs.
Okay.
Just clip
Okay.
them.
Yeah.
All right. And then I had a
But now that I have another typewriter to harvest from, I can do that.
yeah. I had a couple of my own questions. I saved them for last in case we didn't have time, but so I'm excited because I got my first ever can of PB Blaster. And so on the can it says to saturate. So is that true typewriters?
Not really.
Not really, no.
Saturate
PB
the
Blaster.
screw.
Yeah.
PB Blaster is great for getting dirt and grease, hardened grease and stuff out. It's not really great for like lubrication. And once you spray that stuff, do not spray it in your house.
Yes.
Take it outside because that stuff stinks.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah, someone I think on the Facebook group was talking about how stinky it was and that his wife banned him from using it in the house. So yeah, so I will be sure to not saturate.
I don't know what the difference is between that and Nut Buster, but I've used that when I used to work on a farm, and that stuff would get anything loose. Yeah, so if you can find that, that's a fantastic. I don't know what the difference between PB Blaster and Nut Buster are.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about 60-year-old bolts that I was able to get off because of after letting it sit. So
I use something called LPS1. Yeah. Oh, I use something called LPS1, which is basically the same thing as PB Blaster, except it doesn't have the smell. It smells nice and sweet. But it's also 10 times more expensive than PB Blaster. So I use that if I need to do some final touches, or if I have to work inside, I use the LPS1. Well, most of the time I use lighter fluid to clean. So
That's cheap.
Yep, it's cheap. LPS1 is great for just touch-up work. And it smells real nice. It's great if you do PB Blaster first and then blow it all out and then do a coat of LPS1 on the top, and it gets rid of all the smell. So, you use what you can afford and what's good for the situation. I think just about any cleaner, I've used carb cleaner on typewriters. I've used, basically anything you have handy can work as long as it's not WD-40.
Okay.
Yeah. Lighter fluid's that's my go-to.
Yeah.
100%.
There's a tool that I really like to use is mascara brushes. Because you can get them into tight little places. They're curved usually, and you can spray them with alcohol and get them in there. It just to work the dirt out of fine little crevices between parts. It works really well.
Excellent. Yeah. That's a good tip.
So go to Sally's Beauty Supply.
Just buy them from Okay.
Yeah.
I've used
big bag of 100 of them.
Yeah. Exactly. Yep.
I've used little teeth cleaning, where you clean between your teeth with a little brush.
Yeah, those are good.
I've used those. It's basically the same thing. I sometimes think that the pharmacy is one of the best typewriter tool place you can go.
Yeah. Also, the flat
rubbing alcohol.
The flat wide brushes for applying hair coloring and hair dye.
Oh yeah.
They have like a long wire handle, but the bristles are really stiff, and they're really good for brushing out dust and dirt and residue in a typewriter. Okay. Even the segment, you can spray some alcohol on that and get in the segment. It works really well. Yeah.
All right.
I just remembered. I think it was last week. I was talking about a typewriter where I opened it up and there were these two like empty compartments on either side, and I found a toothbrush inside. It was my Royal 440, so it has these two huge compartments where it's like, okay, this typewriter could be a lot smaller, but there was a toothbrush in there that was rather convenient.
It's like a basset hound. Those big royals like that. They got a lot more skin than they've got body.
Exactly. All right, my other question, and perhaps the final question of the stream is, so I've been sitting on this. It's an Olympia. It's the green one that is very rounded, and it has these kind of ribs on the front. I don't remember which one it was, but my point is, it was a Shop Goodwill find, and the case smells horrendous of mold. Is it worth salvaging the case? And if so, how would I go about getting rid of that smell?
Put it out in the sun, the bright
sunlight.
Yeah.
Sunshine.
Okay.
I found a mixture of baking soda and water is really good for cleaning and taking smells out. Some people put like activated carbon packets or baking soda or some kind of odor absorbing thing. You can maybe try that. But I just find baking soda and water, washing it with baking soda and water takes most of the smell out.
Okay.
You talk about the smell. I once found a typewriter by its smell. I walked into a big antique store. I walked in. I went, that smells like really old ribbon. That smells like old ribbon.
Follow your nose.
Picturing like
sure enough, there it was. It was this old typewriter, and it stunk. Moldy ribbon and stuff like that. But
I'm picturing you,
that's
Elton,
what I knew.
like
I took the
cartoon pie guy. You know, they're like floating towards the pie on the ledge.
Yeah.
That's when I knew I was taking the hobby a little too seriously.
That's right.
A typewriter.
Wait a second. Hold on.
And I do assume the typewriter itself is saturated with the smell because it's been in case for who knows how long. So would you say the two areas that would probably hold the smell in the typewriter would be like any felt that may be in there, and then also the ribbon?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the ribbon can be, because the ribbon can actually mold.
Yes, the felt.
Yeah.
And so what I will do is I'll cut the ribbon.
Yeah.
First of all,
I
I
have
look
had
at how it's strung through, so I don't forget. Actually, I take a photo. Then I cut it because it's easier to spin it off the thing. And then when I get rid of that, and then I took the typewriter and the case and I just put it out in the sun. Just open the case and just let it sit out in the sun for quite a while.
Okay,
And,
I will try that.
Hopefully that was getting rid of some of the bacteria and stuff, but it worked quite well doing that.
Do you guys buy bulk ribbon, like the giant bulk ribbon?
From Pico?
Typewriter
Oh yeah,
Justice.
Pico, yeah.
Is that what is that where they pick them up at?
I've
Pico
seen
ribbon.
it. I want
Pico
to.
makes it, yeah.
I haven't bought them, but
Yeah, you have to call them to order it. They don't have a website
That's the
that
problem.
I can find.
It's
Yeah.
only a one-person operation.
oh.
They're local to
okay.
to me, and I have not actually met this lady. It's a lady who does it, and so yeah, it's a
Nice.
one-person operation.
Wow.
Diane, we should get you to be the distributor. We could email our orders to you.
Yes. Yes, and then you go pick them up and
You could take a little 10% commission.
Does she have red and black and black? Does she have multiple colors or only certain ones?
For the small ones, and I say small because I buy the big 1-inch one, or the 1 3/8 inch ones from her for my old machines. I think she has just red and black, and I'm not sure if she has anything blue or purple. I don't know. I've never actually bought the regular size ribbons from her because I just get those from the local repair shop.
Right. I prefer just the black. I don't ever find myself needing the red, so I would prefer just solid black ribbon on most of my typewriters, and then you can use both sides.
Exactly.
Black seems more economical for.
Yes. Yes.
I've
You want to know
actually
economical?
Oh, what's that?
Guys.
Yes, exactly.
This is bulk ribbon you get
Ah.
on eBay from a company called LD.
Mhm.
And I think this box cost me $12, and it's like I think it's 12
Yeah, and they're nice,
ribbon.
darkly inked. They're
nice dark ink ribbons. They're on Adler spools. They're on European spools, and they don't have grommets on the ends.
So you have to crimp your own grommets, your eyelets.
You have to crimp your own grommets. But I found these to be perfectly acceptable and crazy inexpensive.
That's what I've been using now.
Mhm.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, me too.
I bought
Yep.
some of those that Joe had a video on for my Olympias.
Yep. Good.
They're super handy.
Yeah,
I've
they are.
had issues with them going into my Hermes rocket though with the ribbon covers.
Just respool them on your original spools because
Yeah.
these are a little large. The spools on these,
Yeah.
they're for the Adler style, and they won't exactly fit in royals,
Right.
and they're a little taller than what a Hermes will take. The Hermes spools are a little shorter,
Yeah.
so the ribbon covers will fit over them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I find that if you just spool these, I always spool them on my own on the original spools. If I have
The metal
spools,
ones
I'll
are the
put them on
best.
there. Yeah. So that's when I also put the grommets in them, and I've got a tool for that as well. But
Yeah,
a tool for everything.
When
I use a stapler. I just
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah.
when I bought from Baco, I picked it up at a UPS store. So I mean, there's no like local place that you know you can't. They don't have a storefront. It's just I picked it up at whatever UPS store that she had it at. So
I'm sure she's probably got her ribbon inking apparatus and ribbon cutting apparatus sitting in her garage, and she might have saved those from some company way back when, and now she's making a business out of it, and that's great. I think that's awesome because you can get different colors from her.
that's great.
yeah, I think I heard that her father did this before.
Okay.
So it's kind of a family business.
That would make sense because I'm sure probably by the
Nice.
90s that the big company was going out of business, and so they probably just took their equipment home and sat on it until it became worthwhile to do again.
A literal cottage industry.
Trying to remember where I put my spools for that Hermes rocket now, and that's the problem. Is you get so excited, you put the spools to the side, and then you're like, wait, which spools are these for?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got a whole box of spools because when I get a typewriter, one of the first things you have to do is put a new ribbon on it.
Yeah.
And I'm not a stickler for using the originals, and as previous comments, I don't really want to be a tinkerer, and I really don't want to mess around with having to re-thread and redo them. I just buy a new one and use them, but I don't throw the metal ones away. But I've got a whole box full of them. I have no idea what they go to.
Yeah, that's my problem too.
In one of the
I use sandwich
Yeah.
bags.
Yeah.
I use a sandwich bag, drop
Right,
it
no.
in, just right on
That's what I do.
the sandwich bag with the typewriter I took it from,
Right.
seems
Also,
in case I want to go back.
What's that,
also
Diane?
looping back to the previous comment, I think May said about not using red or being more interested in a black only ribbon. I understand the economics of having a black ribbon and being able to reuse it by just flipping the lever. Of course, the SG1, there's 5 or so different settings on the ribbon, which I've yet to use, but I'm kind of a traditionalist, or I say I'm a traditionalist. I grew up with red and black, and so that's what I always buy. And I use the red. The one reader that reads my blog, and I think there's one, they've complimented me on my use of red, and I use red as an emphasis for emphasize words or phrases. I use it in lieu of
Kind of like bold.
like a book title, rather than, I'm old school, but we were taught to underline it, and I know you can do that on the typewriter. Newer school, I think, is to put it in quotes. I occasionally will just skip all that, and the book title gets read. Or a particular product, if it's a name brand, sometimes, or I also use it just to emphasize certain words, like I am not going to do something, or whatever. And I think it's eye-catching. and when I put it on my blog or in a real letter, it looks nice. Of course, that all gets lost when I digitize it and put it into my word processor, but that's okay.
Yeah.
I just think it adds a little something to a letter or
very good
whatever that I
point.
might send
Yeah.
somebody.
I like blue. I use the
A
blue.
little pop of color.
Blue. Yeah.
Yeah, I think what I sent you, Gregory and Joe, the
Yeah.
last time, I think it was
That's right.
blue.
I think so.
Yep.
Yeah.
In one of the books that I got from Ted, I thought that I saw a page or a section that showed the various spools. Maybe it was in the Ames one or the manual one.
It's in the Orange Book, the Manual Typewriter Repair Bible.
Yeah.
Let me pull that up for you. Let's see if I can find that page.
This is scary that
Yeah,
Ted
really.
knows exactly what page I'm talking about.
Yeah,
That is scary.
Ted knows all.
is down. There it is. Nope, that's Platings. Let's see. There's Platings. Spools.
Yeah.
Wow.
I guess I'm going to have to buy one of those books now.
I know, right?
And then you've got ribbon lengths, ribbon widths right there.
My goodness.
Let's see. And then there's the ribbon reference for pretty much every ribbon, including electronics.
Ted, is that the repair Bible?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I call the Orange Book.
All right.
The Orange Book. I have that. If you're going to get one book, get that one.
Yep.
So
Now,
All right, we'll start the presses. I think you probably just sold about 3 of them.
there we go.
That's it. Oh,
Nice.
Mysterious Affair at Olivetti.
Yeah, this was a gift, a Christmas gift from my wife. I haven't read it yet.
Ooh.
But it's about
Nice.
more, I think, so about the computer and desktop.
Okay.
Yeah. Pretty neat.
That looks like an accounting machine.
Let's see, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Very
well,
cool.
I'm gonna sign off because I have a little work to do before my friend comes over this afternoon. It's good seeing you
Excellent.
guys again.
Good seeing you.
It's probably
Thank you.
Say hello to your friend.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Joe.
Good work, Joe.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Joe.
Thanks. Bye bye.
Hey, Gregory, what was the advertised duration of this event? Is this an all-day thing, or is it you don't have to go home but you can't stay here, or
You know,
what?
He's almost to 3 hours now.
I know.
when I first started these, I thought, oh, maybe an hour. The first one, I think we easily did 2 hours, and each time it creeps up, and yeah, this is the longest one now. But we probably should wrap it up. But is there anything else anyone wants to talk about? Any new discoveries or typewriters you want to show off or anything like that?
I will say I'm glad that it did run long because I got to participate a little bit. So
Yes,
Fun.
we do
Thank
that
you.
just for you.
yeah, I'm sure it is.
Yeah,
but-
I come in late too because I'm doing the Zoom meeting for church for my parents, so I don't get on here till about 11 here.
Well, that's what I'm
Yeah.
doing. I'm zooming, so I'm a zoomer.
Well,
I'm trying. I've got something that's going to be published that was typewritten, and
Ooh.
hopefully I'll have it here in a couple weeks.
Okay.
It's part of an exhibition for the Agitators Gallery. It's about COVID-19, and so I submitted it as a piece of artwork. So as soon as I have that, I'm very excited to share that with you guys.
Excellent. Yeah.
Yeah.
I look forward to that.
Sent a friend a letter in Chicago, and he went out and bought his son a typewriter, and
Oh, nice.
I was like, yes. So proselytize to the masses, right?
that's funny. I sent a letter to a friend that last week, and I used my Olympia script machine just because I don't know. Anyways, well, he writes me back. Of course, he doesn't have a typewriter, but he writes me back on a word processor, and he used script typeface. But okay.
Good try. Good try.
Yeah.
Solid effort.
All right, guys, I'm gonna go too. But hey, it's been a lot of fun. I look forward to this
Yes,
next
it has.
Sunday.
Goodbye.
All right.
It's been great.
Yeah, nice to
Yeah.
see everybody.
Thanks,
Nice to
Gregory.
see
Yes.
everybody. Thanks, Gregory, for hosting.
Oh,
This
it's my
is one of the
pleasure.
most-
My pleasure.
This is one of the most uplifting parts of the week. So thank you.
Oh,
Appreciate it.
thank you.
Good to hear.
That makes
See
it
you
all
guys.
worth it. Well, thank you,
All right.
everybody, for being on here. Thank you, everybody,
Thanks
for
hosting
watching.
us. Yeah.
This has really been wonderful. It was a fascinating session. We're definitely going to have another one of these Q&As. It went really well. So thank you, everybody. It's so good to see you guys. And we will see you next time.
And we made a Brady Bunch.
Yes.
Finally.
We
Bye-bye.
can sing the song, though.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All
I have
right,
to come up
bye.
with the typewriter version. Bye.
There you go. Bye.